Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, etc. Welcome to Table Quests, the weekly D&D live stream here on Wednesday afternoons in the Eastern U.S. Who cares what it is elsewhere? Uh, I am, of course, naturally, as I am every week and most other days, Drew, the DM. We also have John, Kat, Mike, Kendra, and Walt, who is stepping away for just a moment. He will be right with us, and I will have him introduce himself in full, as well as giving an introductory speech. Um, Roughly 10 minutes. We'll see how he does with that. I haven't told him yet. This is the 21st session of our ongoing campaign, Doors and Deities. Special thanks, as always, to Syrinscape for the use of their sound library on our streams for all of the music, sound effects, etc. you'll be hearing over the night, such as please work. Isn't it working?
Yeah, I hear
Yeah, I can hear.
Oh, good.
music.
I just had it turned down super low. Excuse me. This lovely harp that will definitely be the only music that we hear. There'll be no creepy zombie modes. There'll be none of those. I already did that. Last week, in a somewhat troubled session, technically, if you can believe it, the party moved on from the Harpy's Eatery to a bit more down to earth tavern where they could kind of cut loose and have a bit of fun. Um, Tep and Tempest, in that vein, had a little drinking contest. After which Tempest thought it would be a good idea to go and cut off part of her finger. Oh, sorry, to play the knife game, and ended up cutting off part of her own finger while while Diziel studied and um, added the new spells to his spell book. Um, on the other side of the city, uh, Emnael and Lyra went sought out the temple square to find a temple to Kilimgor, which they did. More so a shrine than a temple, but they each um, put out to their respective death deities, and receiving in turn from the magic of augury a cryptic omen, having something to do with the combination of their gods and their prayers. When they came back and found the other two, or the other three rather, but the other two in various states of distress from their evening of drinking, they corralled them, um, and then took a long rest. Um, and then in the morning, they got themselves ready to um, meet the professor, both with the information they had gotten previously in um, in the bee's nest from Dolores. As do we have Walt, or was that? Not sure what that was. Things kind of flickered around for a second, and then anyway, excuse me.
The horror music returns.
Just gotta work on my evil laughs a little bit, get a little exercise in there. Not that I'll be using them, but um, from the information you had collected from Dolores, as well as after the encounter with some of the students, as well as a mysterious invisible figure in the Harbiziri, um, containing the same address as you had gotten from Dolores, where you then headed to find it empty. Although upon entering the property, um, the as the alleged professor, who named himself as Alevon Provost, introduced himself to you. He had been watching from an adjacent building, and brought you inside, served you tea, and said that potentially he had a job for you. And that is where the stream difficulties kind of started to kick in. But where we had gotten exactly, um, or essentially rather, some of you had demonstrated your magical abilities or abilities otherwise, um, and asked, I believe it was Desiel had asked what exactly the professor does. To which he replied, as the camera pans from the aerial shot down into the room, I teach magic.
Well, do you know if you have been having us show you and give examples of the things we do, and if teaching is what you do, why don't you teach me something?
Very well. So he kind of walks to this, I believe that's a bookcase on the map. Should be that shelf. Um, takes the keys off his belt and kind of unlocks this small box that's sitting on the shelf, which he opens and sees. He kind of gestures to a variety of scrolls that are rolled up and tucked in this place. What is it you'd like to learn?
Nothing too exotic, standard wizard type things like a fireball or something simple like that would be, I think appropriate.
Well, I can hardly demonstrate in here. But he kind of flips through some of the scrolls. I suppose I've a thing or two I can show you. He pulls out one of the scrolls and places it kind of at the head of the table, um, and then raises his hand, pointing towards the training dummy that is set up by the door. Lyra, if you wouldn't mind stepping out of the way.
Oh, yes. First.
He aims his hand and then points, and as he points, you see sparks and then a flame erupt and emote a small ball of fire, shoots towards the dummy and boom, impacts against the already charred and broken chest, and then he slides the scroll over towards you, Desiel.
Is it
There you are.
firebolt?
Firebolt, you would
Like the
assume.
cantrip?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Although
that.
he then tosses the scroll towards you. I think you'll find that a bit more explosive.
I'm gonna start like applauding him kind of demeaningly.
Do you know this? I mean, no offense, but this is the simplest of magic. I mean, I am able to weave this for some time. This is just a firebolt, no?
Indeed. I thought it close enough for the time being. Although, if you'd like to see something more grand, I'd be more than willing to oblige.
I mean, certainly, I'm certain you are very powerful and you have many good things to teach, but if the things you have to teach me is a cantrip, which I can weave myself, then that's
let's see. He rummages, or he kind of smiles and rummages around in his in the pouch at his hip. And pulls out. If you'll excuse me a moment. Spell components.
As he casts Meteor Swarm.
He pulls out a square of snakeskin, and and a cracked half of an eggshell, that he presses between his hands, and then opens them, and on the table at the center of the table you guys are sitting in, the air kind of shimmers and warps and forms into this opaque white hand that floats just above it. How's that?
Would I know what this is?
You would certainly know that it is more. It's not a mage hand. It's definitely larger and more magically adept than that. You would probably recognize it as Bigby's hand.
Oh.
No one sing it.
Interesting. Well, that seems a bit
The hand
more.
kind of waves its fingers at all of you.
Fair. And does he have like a scroll or something that he is casting that from?
Doesn't look like it.
So is that something you can teach me to do then?
Assuming you're capable of it. Although this isn't something I teach to my students just yet. I should have to fetch the scroll from upstairs.
What level is Bigby's hand?
His hand is 5th level.
Oh. Well, I mean, you have shown me things you can do. But again, you have failed to teach me anything. First, you show me something of the most beginning, and then you show me something which you cannot teach. I wonder, as a professor, we have shown you the things we do, and you say the things you do is teach. And so far, 2 times you have failed to do this.
He moves his hand, and as he does, the large hand on the table also moves, scooping up the scroll that he tossed, and then kind of opens it out to you. I think you'll find the very thing you asked for.
I use my invisible mage hand to pull the scroll my way. Does he allow me to?
He does.
I open it and look at it.
It is a fireball scroll.
Ah, there you go. Thank you, my friend. See now. So is this a thing that you're okay if I learn this now and I study this?
Naturally.
Oh, well, very good.
Consider it an investment in our partnership.
Consider me invested.
That's what I like to hear. Do any of the rest of you have proclivities towards study? Are there any more demonstrations you'd like?
Nah, I pray. I'm not really the booksy kind.
I mean, Tempest seemed to very much enjoy your demonstrations.
This is true. They were
One
very
way
fun
or
to watch.
another.
I mean, I could just stand around and watch people cast magic all day.
Well, unfortunately, none of us have time for that.
Ah,
I
a
don't
shame.
know what you all have time for, but I'm a very busy man.
Okay, he spent his 5th level spell. Get him!
Mr. Provost, correct?
Correct.
May I just ask you one question?
You've already asked me a question.
This is
Well,
true.
that is terribly
Would
true.
you like to ask me?
May I ask 2 more?
You may ask me 2 additional questions at your leisure.
Well, I've used one of them.
You're
But
totally
my
teacher that when you say, "Can I please go to the bathroom?" you have to say, "Oh no, it's a may I can please go to the bathroom," aren't you? You're that one, aren't you? There's always
well,
Actually, may I
don't
go to the
think-
bathroom?
I'm not going to stop you.
Where is it?
I should look at the map and find that out for myself.
Thank you. Good.
I'm sorry,
Does
but
that
we
have
don't
one?
have a bathroom. We have an outhouse.
According to this map, oh, it's on the upstairs, isn't it? Which I don't have on Roll20. I knew I forgot something. It's upstairs. That's
Yeah, those fantasy bathrooms.
gives you the direction. Which, as I desperately attempt to pull it up.
Oh, me too, me too. Girls never go alone to the bathroom. That's a thing.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a thing we don't do. So let's go, Tempest.
Very well.
But yes,
Not technical
Mr.
difficulties. This is Drew difficulty. Oh,
That's technical difficulties.
I shouldn't have said anything. I was a fool for saying something.
You summoned it, Drew.
I made it happen by saying it. Whatever entity causes our
See, but
problems heard.
now we know that Drew is a charisma spellcaster. Yeah, he spoke it into being.
Checks out.
Can I say, like, as we're going, that I just, like, keep an eye out for anything interesting? I basically want to see if this is just, like, a random abandoned house or if this has anything to do with him.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. Also throwing the dirt from my pockets like over my shoulders. Go up fast.
I'm both dumb and wise, so hey, let's just say I help you do it.
Okay.
Not wise at all, so.
As the two of them head upstairs, is that a superstition of hers?
She has a little bit, yes. You know, it keeps the evil away. No, if you spill dirt, you must throw it over your shoulder or something like that.
Something like that.
That must be a Raven Queen thing. We don't really do that, but sure.
But perhaps it's a regional
but,
thing, you know, where she was raised. It does not have to be a religious thing.
That is true. That is very insensitive of me. I take back everything I just said. Just like in Escura, they have the poop log. Who am I to argue with the throw in the dirt?
Just you must feed it and then you beat it until.
But
yes.
Yes, exactly. That's well-known tradition from Escura.
Childhood.
Oh, you're from Escura?
Indeed. In my youth. Before I left for my education.
That's very interesting.
Towards came here.
No, the only thing I would want to ask you is you seem to be quite upfront and very nice to us so far. Why would someone as skilled as you seek out random adventurers or students?
Because one man can only do so much against the adeptitude of the college. As skilled a mage as I am, they've many skilled mages, many more skilled even than myself, if such a thing can be believed.
So are you waging some sort of war against the local magic school or something?
Not at all. I want the same as them. Knowledge. They have only decided that their knowledge is to be kept to themselves. I disagree.
That seems fair enough.
So, but they are a school, like they're like what they do is share the knowledge to others. No, I mean this is not what a school does.
They share select knowledge with those they deem worthy of it.
Oh, did they deny you access to be a student?
Not a student, no.
A professor?
A professor, precisely. Or an independent study.
Or a provost?
I was wondering when someone would get that joke. Indeed, whatever capacity I could gain access to the portion of the great library that rests underneath the college. I don't know what you all know of the great library.
Very little.
Indeed, as do many. It's kept rather secret. The great library is what is underneath Ultrim. All of it stretches across the underneath around the entire continent. Maze-like and unending. Many parts of it are explored, many parts are not. What we do know is that underneath the great universities, here in Yolful especially, in Corbranthe, and so on and so on, it's even rumored that the Skari has their own portion, although many would not want that information to be well known. It would give them a bit more legitimacy than they believe they deserve. The portions under the colleges are much more organized, targeted even. The information kept there is a very illuminating kind. Although we don't really know the specifics, as they are claimed by the colleges, who keep a very, very tight hold on them, excuse me. There's no sure way in, even if we were to dig straight down and find the library. As I said, it's a maze. You could go in a mile away and end up 100 miles away before you ever came across anything of value. But a few months ago, the head of research at the college, whose name I don't have pulled up, Andreas Parlin, purchased purchased a plot of land in a mostly abandoned part of the city, similar to this one. It was odd, as he himself already has a home within the college, and mages there keep to themselves. He bought this property on the hush, and very quickly demolished a warehouse that was already there and built himself a quaint little house. Very quickly, mind you. While that in itself may not be all that suspicious, he never set foot in it. There were people living there, former students of the college who had graduated, wanted a job, I suppose. But it was such that they never left it, nor ceased to keep watch over it. Naturally, I had my students keeping a very close eye on the comings and goings, and Parland himself never entered. Until 2 weeks ago, that is. He came by with a group of individuals that none of us recognized, visitors from out of town. Very shady-like. Hoods and robes and whatnot. They went in late at night and then never came out. Although Parland was spotted the next day in the college. It's not dispositive, but we had reason to believe that underneath that house had been discovered an entrance to the library. Perhaps whatever warehouse was there was making a cellar, and they came across it. A part of the library that connects very closely with that of the college, which naturally would be a boon to anyone wanting to find whatever's in there. You see. But now that it's under whole of the college, it makes it difficult. I had Catherine, my student, Catherine, and Andrew infiltrate the house, finally. And indeed, the cellar door leads to the library, an abandoned portion that almost no one seems to have touched. But as such, there are creatures down there that aren't conducive to visitors. Nasty things, spiders, snakes, bugs of all sorts. Nevertheless, they work their way through, coming near to where the college should be. But they heard something. Oh, how did she put it? He picks up a piece of paper laying on the table. Something very big and very loud. Sounded like logs dragging through the hallways, moaning all the while. I don't want to. My students, as adept as they are, in various degrees, are not combatants. Seems whatever's down there is blocking the entrance to the college's library. I don't want to risk my students' lives, I'm sure you can understand. So I've been on the hunt for a group of adventurers who can be discreet about their dealings and take care of a problem for me. That is where you come in.
I mean, that might be true, but as you quite evidently have seen it, discreet is not necessarily our forte, but I think we can try.
Now it seems hapless college students are your forte. But I can recognize magic when I see it. Powerful magic at that. And I know that such eclectic groups of individuals are more often than not on the hunt for coin. Is that not so?
This is. And so would you say your students in general are not, this is not up their alley, so to speak.
No, alleys are up their alley. Getting into the house was easy for them, relatively speaking. More so than it might be for some of you. But fighting whatever's down there is not what they specialize in, nor what they signed up for.
Out of curiosity, have you lost any students? Either because they left you or because, whatever you had them doing was more than they could handle?
Indeed. The group I have now is not even the group of 5 that I started with. They all had learned enough and moved on. I've had several of them move on for one reason or another. Most recently, one was found to have alternative employment in the city, sticking his nose where it didn't belong. And another was unsuited for the difficulties in removing him. She decided to leave as well.
So you just let them leave, like your students can come and go as they choose? You don't?
Oh, that was the case. That was the case with Dolores. She was clearly frightened of me as she overheard my revelation to my former student of his betrayal. And of course I had to deal with him in an unsavory manner.
And what is Dolores was afraid that you would do something unsavory to her as well?
I'm not entirely sure what she was afraid of. She's young, unreasonable, but that's to be understood.
And you just let her leave then.
I may have furnished her leaving. Accidentally left a few gold on a table. That sort of thing.
Do I believe you?
That's a good question. You should make me an insight check. I love doing this voice. Can you tell? 17.
Higher than a 5.
Higher than a 5.
Nope,
That's
we gotta
almost
restart.
unbelievable.
You rolled
Yeah, you
well.
gotta refresh.
Nope.
It's clearly, you're
Nope.
clearly using a weighted dice. You can see that he's not telling you the whole picture of what happened. But he doesn't seem to be outright lying. But there are bits and pieces that he is holding things back.
Specifically, I'm curious if I get an idea of how okay he was with Dolores leaving. Whether or not he helped her or any of that shit. Like, do I get any...
It seems like it's irksome to him more so than it is... he's not keen on hunting her down.
Gotcha.
You don't get that sense.
Okay, those of you... I can't find it in my notes. What was the name of the two acrobats? Again, Yelena and something?
Patrice and Alexia.
Patrice and Alexia. Do you know, I was wondering... What? Couldn't understand what you said.
Are we really gonna... I was gonna say, are we really just gonna name drop them?
Maybe. Patricia. I want to put them in a more current version of my notes. So when you say your students are more suited to getting in and out of places, are they were they thieves and rogues before you met them and you started teaching them magic? I've heard of rogues who can do magics.
As much as I would like that to be so, make things a lot easier. No, they are prospective magic students, all of whom came to the college hoping to learn there, but were rebuffed. I keep an eye on entrances and exits from school, especially from the admissions office. And those that catch my eye, I give them a bit of a test. See whether they're put out one way or another for learning the art of subterfuge. But none of them trained thieves or robbers yet.
Well, okay. So you are wanting us to go down and clear out the nasties, the spiders and the whatnots.
Indeed, whatever you find down there.
And gain entrance into this School of Magic's library, which is protected by powerful wizards.
Indeed, although you'll be going in the back door. You needn't worry about getting into the library itself. Merely confirm that such an entrance exists, and that the path to it is clear of any bestial or monstrous interference. That is your charge.
Desiel looks over at Amnel with like a raised eyebrow. Thoughts?
Well, if we're not getting too close to the school, I don't see how this would be much immediate danger. I mean, I think we can handle spiders. Besides, you seemed pretty enthusiastic about that scroll there. If he maybe got some other of those and maybe some coin, I think this could be very beneficial both ways.
True.
Indeed, so long as you are interested in the magic arts. I have many more scrolls where that came from.
So what sort of payment, I suppose, would you be offering for this?
Apart from the magical spells, the components, whatever it is you believe you would need for your journey, 1,500 gold pieces I'm prepared to offer. 300 for each of you. It's dangerous work, and I have a generous pension. I lost the word I was going to use. Oh dear. A generous amount from my employer.
Your employer. Who is your employer?
So, the school I graduated from. Now Lyra and Tempest, are you both still upstairs?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are interested in the library and have sent out individuals such as myself to attempt to gain access to them. They're not on the continent, you see. And they want what mages here have. They don't interfere with my work apart from the money they send to continue operations. You needn't worry about them. Whomever I hire is at my discretion. Shifting upstairs. It's the two of you as I finally have it set up, and I have figured out, rather, how to split the party so that I can show people. Oh, that was the wrong way to do it. Okay. Like
So that I can kill you easier.
So that you can each see the maps that you are on. The two of you can see the upstairs map, yes? Lovely. As you head up the stairs, into what looks to be essentially the upstairs of a small manor. You find, I didn't realize that there is apparently, or no, I thought that was a portal in the bathroom here. I was like, why is there a shimmering portal? I never noticed that. But no, it's just a piece of cloth. You find the washroom here, and then kind of a common room, as well as several bedrooms that look to be set up just for people are living in. There are like papers and just miscellaneous items you take to be spell components kind of just littered around. If this is a magic school, it's one of the more disorganized you've come across. As you see kind of notebooks and journals on desks and on beds, and kind of scorch marks along the wall from maybe where a spell didn't quite work out. Various things like that. A frog that looks to have escaped from a jar just hops along one of the hallways. Things like that. This place from the outside it looks completely abandoned. The interior is very much lived in by would-be wizards. Where is it you guys are going?
So do you actually need to go to the bathroom, or was it just an excuse for us to get up here?
Yeah, I don't actually bathroom. I just want to see what's upstairs.
Okay, because I don't know when the last time someone cleaned this thing is. It's looking a little old.
Is that okay? What about this room? And I'll just open one of the random bedrooms.
where is it you're going? You just find this market.
Oh, should I
You come up here
my
from
token off? Oops.
grid off normally. Need a grid. Tempest casting
let's-
large of yourself.
Oops, sorry, didn't mean to step on your toes, Lyra.
Oh, no worries. What's in here?
In here, you step into essentially what it looks like, a kind of sparse but chaotic bedroom. There is a bed up there on the leftmost wall as you enter. You see several more openings into other rooms. This looks to be kind of the main, like there is a bed here that clearly someone is using. There's a small trunk of personal items at the foot of it that seems more like a kind of common meeting room or study room, as there are papers and whatnot spread around the rug.
Does it look lived in, like, recently? Does it look like people are in and out of here?
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Okay. I want to kind of keep an eye out, I guess, as we go through for anything that would give indication that Patricia or Alexia are here, or anything that Desiel would be interested in, I think.
Okay.
Like scrolls and stuff.
Make an investigation check.
How good are you at finding stuff?
You know, I am above average.
Above average?
Like, you know, normal people are like starting at a 0. I would maybe be like, +2 to just, you know, the base of a normal person.
Okay, that's fair. See, I don't think
Yeah.
I'm really above a normal person by much in that regard. So, how about I tell you what I'm looking for,
Okay,
and then
okay.
you help me find it. Okay.
Totally. All right.
So, we're looking for our circus people.
So you're looking for your acrobats and then stuff that Desiel would be interested in.
Since there's both of us looking, can she roll twice?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay, I'm also looking for shiny stuff, like something really cool, rare. Like even if it's not, but to Lyra, if it looks like really rare and important.
There is plenty of stuff that looks shiny. Along, I need to look up the specifics of these maps more because along these kind of shelves that line the room, there are pretty rocks and small nuggets of gold and silver. You see on this one close to the bed is just lined with jars. Many of them having insects or frogs or small creatures that it looks like the denizen of this room, of this area, likes to collect and investigate. So there are plenty of little trinkets and spell items, all sorts of things like that. You don't see anything that would specific. You don't see any scrolls around. Looks like those are kept a bit more tightly. You know, they're more tightly kept. And so on. Although there's papers of notes and of textbooks, things like that, littered all over.
Yeah, I didn't find anything too cool. Some shiny rocks, but no acrobats.
Boo. And no one has, like, their name on, like, anything?
You can certainly look for that as looking through the notes on the floor. You spend a little time kind of combing through them, and most of it you do not understand in the slightest. It looks like a lot of it's written in shorthand, and sort of handwriting is difficult to parse as well for some of them, and then it's about magic. magical theory, especially, and you've got no idea. So you do eventually find 6 names: Alexia, Andrew, Catherine, Michael, Patrice, and Walter. Don't worry, Walt, it's not just you.
All right, Alexia, Walter, Patrice, what were the other?
Alexia, Andrew, Catherine, Michael, Patrice, and Walter.
I am going to start causing chaos. I basically am going to find just like random people's notes, and I'm going to start sowing seeds of dissent between them, okay? So I'm going to make it look like one person is trying to, have a little conversation by note with another person saying, oh, can you believe, this person is even here? Like, why did the professor pick them up? I'm going to, maybe it's between Walter and Michael, I'm going to start writing rumors about Catherine. Like, Catherine, she must, just be sucking up to the professor because she knows she doesn't measure up, and then I'm going to leave it with what looks like Catherine's things in the hopes that she finds them.
Okay, so are you going to try and copy the handwriting as well?
Sure.
Okay, so that... What is forgery? That's not a skill in this game. Ah!
It's not 3-5.
Yeah, wrong.
I mean,
wrong,
there
wrong,
are
wrong.
forgery kits,
That is true, although you do not have one
which
of
if
those.
she is proficient, yeah, that's the thing. If she doesn't have,
I mean, I'm pretty sure you don't have a forgery kit on you, do you? Didn't think so. I guess this would be sleight of
You
hand.
should totally get one.
Maybe
Okay.
a dexterity sleight of hand check.
Not good.
No, you're proud of it. It's in there. You made sure to match the ink color. Like, some of them were using black ink, some were blue or purple.
I
You're
spend
very
so
careful
much
to
time,
match.
like,
You
mixing
focused
the
on
ink,
matching the
but-
color, but not as much on the handwriting. Like the ones that wrote in cursive, you kind of tried cursive. The ones with good handwriting, you kind of tried to not fantastic, but
I'm proud.
you're satisfied.
I'm
with yourself.
satisfied.
While she's doing that, can I look for somebody's diary?
You absolutely can make another investigation check. Underneath the mattress here, and of where the bed is made up of, there's the frame and then wide wide wooden slats that go across to support the mattress. You see one of those has kind of been, part of it's been carved out, and a small journal and slid to it.
So obvious. And I want to put the journal in my pocket.
Okay.
Tempest, how long do you think people go to the bathroom for? Should we head back downstairs at some point?
Well, no, because I reckon we've got like a little more time, because then you went and then I went, and then we can say we saw like a spider or something. Oh my god, should we go look in the bathroom? Maybe we can see, like, I don't know, if we can find like stray hairs or something, so I know what these people look like what hair color they have and things like that. I don't know. What do detectives do?
I think I heard a story about this. They definitely look for clues. And they usually take the clues and then somehow they piece them together and then mystery solved.
I mean, I believe in us, right? But I don't know if I'd call either of us like the smart one of our group. So why don't we gather the stuff and then make Desiel do the thinking?
I love that plan. So I'm gonna start like grabbing a couple rocks shelf, grab some clues, and start putting them in my pocket.
Okay, I am gonna go just start grabbing random things from each room. Maybe, like, I'll take some of the papers from here, but not any of the ones I drew on. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and look for any stray hairs. Just like speed run of grabbing random shit.
You could pick a few stray hairs
All right.
of various
I want to
colors
steal
and lengths.
somebody's clothes, like an outfit, like shirts and pants.
All right.
What was that about subtlety? Is not our forte.
I guess I should have expected this. Yes, you open kind of the cabinet wardrobe here, and find just kind of standard, comfortable clothes, as well as several dark kind of robe or cloaks and hoods, and then two pairs of leather boots.
I'll leave the boots. I'm just taking the clothes.
They seem like relatively close to your size as well. At least the size that you currently are at this moment. You are taking just one set of clothes?
Just one set of clothes to not raise suspicion.
Not to raise suspicion. Alright, are you storing that?
Yeah.
With your belongings? Alright.
Yep.
Okay, anything else from you two?
I'm gonna rinse my hands so that they're a little damp when we go downstairs.
Smart. Alright. As the rest of you are talking, two girls. You can hear their footsteps on the stairs. Glad you could join us again.
Really nice bathroom you have, sir.
I think you got like a spider moving in though. You might want to take care of him.
We'll take it into account.
I like super obviously dry my hands on my throat.
Can you both make me deception checks? See, you can tell he's looking at you very intently, the both of you.
Apparently Lyra doesn't actually think he has a nice restroom.
Lyra, you see, he makes eye contact with you, and in an instant, you get just the overwhelming feeling, oh my goodness, he knows absolutely everything. He knows, you can see through my soul, he knows it all. Just in his piercing gaze, and you kind of, like, reflexively look away, and kind of fluster.
I just silently think to myself, we need to get a move on those lessons.
Everything all right, Lyra?
Yeah, why are you looking at me? Everything's fine. You know.
Hey, I gotta hand you something. Do you mind coming over here?
Yeah. Okay.
Here. I think it would be rude for me to throw you a sword. And I just, as she gets closer, I'm going to like lean towards her and unsheath the sword that I have been carrying on my back, and I'm gonna whisper to her, "You really have to get your shit together. Even I couldn't tell that one was a bullshit." And I just give her a sword.
Even you have the highest insight of anyone.
He doesn't know that.
What is insight? I don't know what you're speaking about, Mr. Provost. Why all of a sudden do you sound so different?
So
I'm gonna face the wall instead of the group.
So I kind of step over to the professor and lean in. You were asking earlier about the throwing of the dirt. Her social wherewithal is not exactly what you would call above average.
Customary,
I've seen her
orthodox.
kind before.
What is that supposed to mean?
Oh, sorry.
Just, I thought we were having a quiet conversation
Yes,
over
we
here.
were having a bit of a private conversation. You
Oh, sorry.
saying this quietly.
Okay.
Her kind. You like?
I went to a school for mages. They are not known for being the most socially apt, so to
Yes,
speak.
yes, of course.
Oh,
Some of my own students had to hone their abilities in lying to others, for example.
I'm sure your restroom is very lovely. I don't know.
You needn't be concerned. There was nothing out for them to find of any real significance.
Oh,
so going back to the matter at hand, do you have a timeline for this job, if you will?
Well, I assume you would need time for preparation.
yes, indeed. What
And
kind of
so-
spells? You had mentioned the gold and any spells that we thought might be appropriate to help us with this mission. What kind of spells were you thinking would help with a situation like this?
Well, that certainly depends on you, what you're capable of and able to do. Although my stock is admittedly limited
Oh, sure, certainly.
at the moment. It's difficult to pry spells away from the college, although a drunk student's paper goes missing here and there. I can provide a number of things. Mostly components, those are easy enough to procure. If you've any need for them. Although I don't believe all of you do.
What specific components would you have available?
Manner of snake skins and eggshells, as you've seen,
Oh.
dust powders,
Bat guano.
one of all sorts. You should see the cellar. It's right
Gross.
full of the stuff. You'd love it.
Absolutely gross. Speaking of more particular components for more complex spells, would you happen to have maybe one of those?
Do you know, like a really large and valuable diamond, perhaps?
Yes, exactly.
I thought as much.
Forgive us. We have been so busy these last few weeks traveling to different realms and everything else. I had a spell book that I met like the third day that I met these guys. I found this old lady's spell book. Only just last night was I finally able to sit down and read it. These last, it's been crazy.
Certainly sounds so. Well, take time, a few days if you need to rest. I should like it done within the week. Although there's no telling how long it'll take you once you're down there.
Do you suggest entering, like at night, in the daytime?
My specialty is entering during the night. That is when Catherine and Andrew entered. Although I shall leave the infiltration up to you.
But there's nobody living in the house.
Oh, indeed there are.
Oh, right.
As I said, former students of the college employed by Andreas.
Okay, so it will be a matter of sneaking into the house to get to this cellar.
It will not be an easy thing. As well as the fact that the cellar is locked with slightly obtuse mechanism that we have reason to believe they have since changed after our dalliance. We've not been able to get back in ourselves.
Do we know how many students are living there and how advanced they are?
It differs. They rotate in and out, usually around 5 or 6. Spread throughout the house, which is 3 stories, and some may be out or about at given times, as my students are now. This is something done by the head of research, a very high-ranking individual who has a good number of resources. It's difficult to pin down. But
Okay.
once Catherine and Andrew return, they can provide you with rudimentary maps of the house, as well as of the tunnels that they were able to explore. That will be some consolation. Unless
Yes.
they've shifted the house around. Which
Is-
we can't put off the tape.
Is this your place then? This house or what?
The
now?
house you're standing in now, indeed it is.
So would we be
Although it's-
able to spend the night here if necessary and wait for your students to return? I don't wish to impose, I was just simply wondering.
I have a guest room available. He gestures down this way, where such a thing would be found. We could have it ready for you. And it conveniently has 5 beds. I didn't even think about it. It's not much, but this is what I could procure and not be noticed. As you can see, we pride ourselves in being unnoticed. The college knows someone's onto them, but not who or where. That means a low profile, which means no renting out any of the bigger houses. You understand?
Understood. And Lyra, you just got us rooms for the one night, no? Yesterday.
Yes. Yes, I.
You're welcome to stay here as long as you like. So long as there are no glances to Pep and Tempest specifically, and then also to Amnail. Disturbances that would lead people to our location.
Just no bullying the other students of the professor, no?
It's not
Or students
bullying
in
if he
general.
started it. It's just we battled and he lost.
My
And he's
students,
obviously a sore loser. Because he
my
went home
students
crying.
will not be instigating you. They've strict instructions to be careful around you.
Really?
They're careful around anyone, particularly those who are brought in to solve violent problems.
I see.
It's nothing personal, I assure you.
No, understood. Well, I suppose, we should go out about the town and talk about things and figure out what we might want. And we'll show up later on this evening to see if you have a guest room or if, well, no, we will make contact one way or another by the evening.
Indeed. Let me know of your decision.
Just, and if you happen to have lying around, and he looks over at Lyra, the ability to see things that are invisible may be useful in a situation like this. Other things that are interest of me would be, casting webs or, things like that. But I'm not saying, just if you happen to have anything lying around of that nature, dispelling magics, I don't know. Amel, is this a proficient thing you can do, is dispelling the magics? If we are going into the magic library.
I can. I was actually going to bring that up if we ever discussed about the new locking mechanisms. If they are arcane in any way, I might be able to dispel any wards on them. And then you can go to good old lock picking.
Very well. So, for this in particular, if you happen to know a way to see invisible things, or for me in general, my friend and I, my friend's been telling me that I should learn how to make webs of my own, so that he doesn't always have to make all of the webs. Also small huts for us to stay in when we are traveling to strange places, or broken down old taverns that are very seedy and wonderful. Lyra, of course. These are simple things if your students happen to cross them. But if not, I understand. I'm just giving you ideas. Always interested in learning things.
I shall have a look through my collection. See what I can do.
Very well. Well, you have been a most gracious host, and I suppose we'll see you this evening, no? Does anybody else have anything?
Not with the mister, no.
Very well. So, Mr. Professor Provost, it's interesting, no, that this other professor that was doing the shady dealings with the warehouse and the house, his initials are the same as yours.
Is that so?
Are they not? AP? The letter could have come from him.
I suppose anything's possible.
Andreas Parlon, no?
Andreas Parland.
Interesting.
I think you'll find us very different individuals in every way possible.
Well, hopefully we won't be meeting him directly.
Which is the hope. If you do, I would suggest running.
Right, good to know.
He is not in his position without reason.
He is the headmaster of the university, of the college here, no?
The head of research.
Oh, head of research.
He specializes in finding out new things, experimenting magics.
Am I correct in assessing that this particular school has some sort of emphasis on divination magic?
Indeed, that is their focus.
So should we be concerned at all about prying eyes in the halls?
Very much so. We've no reason to think that they will be scouring the portion of the library you'll be entering. It seems not many are down there to begin with. Whatever it is they were looking for, they didn't quite find.
I see.
Should you enter the college's library, which I would not suggest, you may find it teeming with prying eyes.
I have no such plans, but it was more of precaution in case this abandoned area might have been explored before, but I trust your judgment.
In the same vein, do you tend to scry on those who are doing jobs for you?
Such is not my specialty.
He kind of glances over at him now.
I have been very sus this whole conversation, but I have no particular reason to think this is any weird. With my passive insight, would I find any sort of weird signs?
Not really. He's well put together in most of what he says. There's no inherent reason to doubt it, apart from you may already have, any of you.
Yeah. Look over at Desia and I just shrug.
Okay, well, then I suppose if we get into trouble, we are on our own, no?
Oh, I do have one question. Sorry, I don't mean to extend our stay, but I imagine you are quite well acquainted with the figures in the town.
To an extent that they may not be aware of.
What was the name of that idiot, the one that runs the paper and ink shop downtown?
Oh, paper and ink, I believe he calls it nowadays.
Yes.
I keep forgetting.
I forgot his
well.
name. Yes, and I don't have my notes. I'm taking notes on this little shit thing.
My notes, excuse me. Chalayon de Vros. Oh,
yes,
Chalayon.
that one.
Yes. Mr. DeVros. Bookkeeper DeVros.
Bookkeeper DeVros, librarian DeVros, master artisan DeVros. He has been it all at one point or another.
Curious.
What did
No,
you know about?
my question is, he sought, well, he had a multitude of things in his shop, but he did have one item that piqued my curiosity in specific. He had this one book, and mind you, I'm not the bookish type, but that book seemed so out of place. It had a certain necromantic quality to it, if you will.
Just the Necrocon book.
And he
no?
seemed, yes, and he
Necronomicon.
sought the Necrocon, yes, that one. But he seems to be, he seemed to be quite protective of it, at least in the way he enchanted the surroundings. Would you happen to know anything about that?
I know that he claims to have a Necronomicon. I've seen it myself, and I can neither confirm nor deny its truth. Shallan's an old man. He's lived a very long time and learned a great deal of magic.
So, not a good investment of 3,000 gold, in your opinion.
I believe last I heard he was charging 30,000.
Well, I guess I'll have to give out a limb for that one.
It may be, it may not be.
I see.
The mages here keep a lot of things under wraps. Bookkeeper DeVros is more open than most with most of what he does. But about that book, as well as several other personal matters, he is as frustratingly tight-lipped as they come.
I see. It was just a matter of curiosity.
Oh, indeed, it's a very curious book.
While that conversation is happening, I'd like to lean over to Lyra. Did you have someone you were looking for? Perhaps he knows the people in town. It's up to you whether you want to ask or not. I just saw you asking. You have asked people, like the barkeeper, you were asking something. I did not catch the name exactly, but.
Eros.
Just.
My friend, I haven't seen him in a while.
I don't know
Since he left.
if you wanted to ask the professor or no, I don't know.
I kind of wanted to ask Eros about this professor guy, so.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I was like trying to gather information. So maybe I can reverse that information to see if he even knows Eros.
Just
I like your thinking.
There you go.
Excuse me, Professor, sir.
Yes.
I have 2 questions. 1. Do you know Eros?
Eros. Is that barbaric woman who likes going about doing jobs that require hitting people on the head?
No, I think maybe that's another Eros. It's alright. You know, just wondering what kind of circles you run in versus mine. Second question. This library at the university, is it like if someone were looking for information about a very rare important, it would probably be at this library and only this library?
All I know is that within the confines of the libraries of the different universities has been found information which is not found anywhere else. We don't know precisely what most of that information is. As I say, the colleges are quite determined to keep it from everyone else.
One just was like, when I look at your library, they're just very anti-outsider. No one allowed in the library.
I gave that a try when I first got here. They laughed at me first, and told me quite politely to leave.
So you didn't go to the
Well, at
college?
least they were polite.
Not the college here, young girl. I was
Oh,
schooled on a
but
different continent. Such is why they're so eager to have access to that which is only found in Alterum.
out of curiosity, where did you go to school?
The Conservatory Volsa.
Hmm.
Have you heard of it? Any of you?
Have I heard of it?
Let's see. Amnail, you definitely will have heard of it. It is
Okay.
a rather secretive school tucked in the northern mountains between Flascos and Escura. It is in the contested territory between them, that mountain range, although it is tucked well up into those mountains. Very much keeping to itself and not interacting much with the outside world. Although it produces some very capable mages. Little is known about it.
Specifically mages or other type of arcane weavers?
Specifically mages are sort of publicly
So,
known, although there are whispers of other sorts.
okay. So the other protected wouldn't be from there necessarily.
No.
Okay. It's the what conservatory? Sorry, you did say the name, but I didn't catch it.
Volser. Conservatory
Volser.
Volser.
Between Escura and what?
Flascos.
Escura and Flascos.
Thank you.
I believe I have the map pinned somewhere. But if you look at the map, it's kind of in the bridge between the two, in that mountain range to the far north of it.
Excellent. Well, shall we?
I suppose. It's been a while since we got ourselves in some real trouble.
Wasn't it just the other day that we were in the middle of political warfare?
That was like 2 nights ago, wasn't it? I mean,
No, I mean, it was last night that we stayed at the lovely Gargoyle place, and the night before is when someone decided to bully the students. The night before that, I believe we stayed at our Fey friend's residence, and it was the night before that that we were in the middle of the rioting and the princess and the royalty and all that nonsense.
oh, that is a very good point. Mr. Professor, do you happen to have words of the political situation in Alpliana? What was the goddamn call
It
name?
was
Elysia.
Elysia. We were at the Gardens
Yes.
of Elysia. You know, we went and we
Yes.
visited the
Would
Gardens
you
of
have-
Elysia, and then like this rioting broke out. The princess was all upset because we interrupted her tryst with a local guard. And then the other princess came and got all, well, you know, huffy like princesses do. That's some people's.
This is certainly all news to me.
Well, just it would be. I
It
mean, how
seems to
could
be-
you know?
Seems to be looking back and forth to all of you, like trying to see who's telling the joke.
No?
No,
Well,
we're
good.
being completely serious.
You all looking sincere. He's kind of almost a little bit confused.
Yeah, this is a good point. Have you heard anything of what's going on with Elysia?
Latest I've heard, the latest anyone's heard, that the rioting is contained for now.
And the timepiece was stolen? I mean, that's the rumor I heard, was that the timepiece was stolen. They're very upset about it.
Is that so?
Is it our fault that the revolution failed because we killed those revolutionaries?
No, I don't know. We didn't kill anybody. What are you talking about?
They did try to burn us alive. So it was self-defense.
They did attempt to
And
burn
I'll
the
just look-
building in which we were standing at the time, Jess.
You were speaking of riots in Igath.
In what?
Igath,
Igath.
capital of Elise.
Ah, yes. Where the gardens are.
Well, I don't know where you've been on your adventures, but you've been smoking something rather intense.
Why?
Riots in Agath. The riots, from what I've heard, are barely an inconvenience
Huh.
for them to move to something in the capital, much less to burn the gardens down. I've
Well,
Well-
What if we went to the wrong time, or we're in the past, like I thought we would be?
No, do you know? Well, I mean, the gardens did not burn down because we stopped them from burning down. I mean, that's simple.
that is very true.
The timepiece. We definitely stole
All
the
of us know.
timepiece.
No, we did not steal any timepiece. What are you talking about? So, okay, she has
Right, we
been
didn't.
smoking the things you are talking about. But
I smoke a
whoever-
lot.
Yes.
I look over at Lyra.
But the little bit of free information and exchange, open sharing and whatnot. Yeah, of course, the royalty wants everyone to believe that the riots are just a mere inconvenience. But I tell you, the truth is, the riots were in the capital. They were in
Igath.
Yes, they were in the capital.
Very true.
They made it to the gardens.
Yes.
We know, we were there.
fascinating. I shall try and verify this information. If true, this would open up chaos.
It
If
could.
the monarchy were stumbling to the very center of the Holy Sea of Light, that would be news to some very interested parties.
Well, tell the interested parties that if they were to take advantage of it, the younger of the princesses, she's okay. Like the rest of them, whatever, okay? But the younger of the princesses, she's okay. Don't do bad things
Honestly,
to her.
Ironically, I think she would make a pretty good student of yours. She was kind of interested in magical studies, wasn't she not?
She was. This is true.
Yes. She was quite a nice person. Her sister, a bastard, but that's besides the point.
Yes. I also know a secret way into the castle. If that information ever
Yes.
becomes valuable enough to you, this is information
That's
I have.
true.
I shall
And we
do
also
best.
know a secret from the princess.
Yes, I know.
Oh, yes.
I got some of the princess's closest secret from her. She shared with us all.
And
Wow.
I know it seems like we have been smoking something very potent, but I assure you we have been speaking nothing but truth.
So it seems to be. I'll very much keep that in mind should my mission change, or should I have anyone to introduce you to.
Are you involved with the Igas situation, or
Not
one way
in
or
the
another?
slightest. Volsa have their fingers everywhere. And your information may be important to some of them.
Volser. Yes. So, Drew, do I have any idea of the Volser being generally a force for good, a force for evil?
They're the Illuminati.
But like
Not that far
good
off.
ones, or
They
like
are, the
The
ones
good
like me.
Illuminati.
Yeah, I mean the ones who came together and were created, like to avoid persecution of the church, and or the ones that like eventually wanted to do like world domination.
They are very secretive, so they don't operate much in the public eye. And so they aren't necessarily talked about all that much. You get the sense that they are, or you have heard that they are not exactly friendly necessarily with the Holy See in particular. They're often accused of various blasphemies and sacrilege. But they are, as far as you know, they aren't operating torture chambers.
Okay.
Nothing you've heard of.
I mean, that's like my standard. Like, do you torture people on a mass scale? No? Okay, we're cool.
Reasonable standard, I think.
Yeah.
Just on an individual basis.
Like,
Oh, okay.
I can't actually say that about the older princess in Alicia. So, you know, that's the Volsa princess. What's her name? Okay, well, so there you go. Glad we could be, teach you a little something, professor. And,
Good professor always learns from his students.
yes, of course. And,
I thank you for the information.
of course.
I see you all this evening, hopefully.
Yes, indeed.
At least some of my students will be here to furnish you with the things you will need for your intrusion.
Very well.
Okay.
Good day.
Good day, sir. I said
Good
well.
day.
Bow. And we are going to
And we
take a
go.
quick break at this point as you guys head out. We'll be back in just a few. We good? All right. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Table Quests. Hopefully everyone's freshened up, ready to hit the town, make some decisions, break some news. The
Kill some
five-
random students.
Just, yeah, going around flinging spells left and right, killing people, as we always do.
Oh, we already got his attention. We don't need to do that anymore.
Turns out we didn't need it. But you exit the professor's dwelling, back out onto the quiet streets of Yalthal. What are you all doing?
Speed walking away.
Actually, as we're leaving, I'm gonna check if there's no one following us. If not, well, anyone in general, but I'm more specifically if there's anyone watching us leave. Not from the professor's crew, but if maybe there's someone kind of staking the place out.
Looking in the windows around.
Yeah.
Make yourself what would that be? Probably still just perception check.
Guidance!
That's how you have to cast guidance from now on.
Yes.
Guidance!
Bonk on the
Every time.
guidance! Yeah, just a big old bonk on the head. As soon as it feels like rolling. I believe in you. Come on. There we go. Yeah, that's okay. And the D4. $22.
22. As you step out and kind of pan around, darting your eyes one place to the other, you don't see anything in the buildings around you. Although looking back at the house, you see a pair of eyes, different from the professor's, looking out at you from between two of the boards in one of the windows.
Okay. From like the first floor,
From
second,
the second
floor.
Second floor.
Speed walking away.
I would like to the group at some point to walk through like grass or like dirt or something and then look for footprints that are potentially trailing us.
We just
Very
step into a
smart.
garden bed.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, there's kind of because this area there are a lot of abandoned buildings in this area of town. And so yeah, you find like a yard in front of a building that looks to be run down and abandoned. Step through it. The only footprints you see are your own.
Okay.
So, is there a reason for us not to attempt to do this job today?
I'm not fully convinced that we should be doing this job at all.
Well, the reason I asked if perhaps we could stay there this evening was to see if, the individuals we seek might be staying there. to see if Patrice and
He-
Alexia return. No, if everybody's living there, I don't know if anyone lives there or not, but he claims it's his place,
Yes.
and so we could see if the acrobats return. No,
Oh, I mean, there's Alexia, Walter, Patrice, Andrew, Catherine, and Michael.
are there more
We didn't
acrobats?
go to
That's-
the
You only told us
bathroom.
about Alexia and Patrice.
I don't know if they're all acrobats, but those are who's writing notes upstairs.
Oh, you went digging through the
Oh.
things, and these are the people you found living there.
We didn't go to the bathroom.
Oh, I see.
Wait, you were prodding around up there.
We were investigating and getting
We gathered
clues.
so that Desiel can put them together.
Yep, here
Didn't
you go.
Didn't you girls run into the person that was upstairs?
Huh?
There was a person upstairs that was watching us leave.
Nope.
Maybe the professor just climbed stairs really quickly.
Nope, pretty sure it wasn't him. Okay,
Maybe
let's
they went
unpack
up
that
after.
another moment. Possibly. Let's unpack that at another time. Why? Well, I will agree that our first experience about the professor was very shady, specifically from, well, not the first, would have been the second with Dolores, but still. What is your main reservation about this, Tempest?
I'm just saying this guy is, how do I put it, a creep. I mean, he sits outside of the college admissions office, waiting for disappointed hopefuls to come out crying about how their dreams have been crushed, so he can swoop in like their savior and just present all of the answers to them, you know, and then use them for his own gain for what's clearly... Did we just walk through someone's garden? But for what's clearly just kind of nefarious. I mean, he's sneaking in to someone's house to go through their library to access some hidden unknown knowledge. Is this not flagging like alarm bells for anyone else? It just...
I mean, he's not sneaking into somebody's house to go through their library. The house was built in order to cover up a library that the local magic school is attempting to hide from everybody else.
Says he.
What's wrong with that again?
Nothing, but what's wrong with us trying to see what's inside?
No,
I'm more...
I'm just
Agree,
saying maybe
like,
they're trying to
my
hide it
counter-argument-
for like a reason, right?
Yes,
Perhaps a
thank you,
selfish
Pat.
reason.
Or perhaps like, they're just looking out for people. I don't know.
Well,
But-
either way, it's looking out. If we are killing the spiders and other bad things that are down there, that's looking out for people too, no?
I'm not saying I trust the college and their intentions. I'm just saying that I don't exactly trust this guy either. No one good operates in this manner. He was pretty clear about he's also from some school that has a vested interest in this. So
You
it's
know,
not
we-
even about like, I want knowledge to be good for the world. It's just a bunch of schools fighting with each other for books.
I mean,
that
this is
probably have
precisely the
some very
manner we
stuff in them.
operate. So if you say no one good operates in this manner, what does that say about us?
That's a debate for a later time, Desiel, okay? I'm just saying.
No, but Tempest, my point would be the following. Yes, I agree. Shady, weird, slightly creepy, maybe. But as we have previously established, apparently I don't know the meaning of the word creepy, given my former occupation. But us doing this job, it's not to open the pathway or to lead directly into the library. We would be scouting. It's a scouting job effectively.
And just conveniently getting rid of all the guard monsters.
Certainly. But look at it this way.
And they don't.
Did you care about this magical college?
You mean
Like,
the
did you
one that
care about them?
was hanging out at?
You know, yeah, the one who is denying the peoples and hiding the library and things like that. Are they friends of yours? Are you invested in them? Do you not want to wrong them for some reason? I mean, you had no problem bullying a student of the university. Did you care about the rest of the university for some reason?
I mean, if you would like to sit outside the academy and bully all of the students, I happily will, Desia, but that's not the point that I'm trying to make here. The point that I'm trying to make is this guy is shady and I don't like him, and I don't like it, and I don't like the situation, and really I would like it if we just moved somewhere else.
Oh, okay. From my perspective, he may
Is
be shady, but, you know, like we found ourselves in the gardens, and we thought we were helping the right people, and it turns out perhaps we were helping the wrong people. So in this situation, I'm just not really picking a side at the moment. We're still looking for the acrobats. The best way to find the acrobats that are supposedly with the professor is to continue to work with the professor. So until he asks us to do something that, you know, we really don't want to do because we care about the people he's doing it to me, what we're doing or who we're doing it for doesn't really matter if our goal is simply to find the people that are with him.
Is everything all right, Tempest? I've never seen you have quite the sharp aversion to someone so seemingly for no reason. Well, not no reason. You do have a pretty compelling argument, but you seem particularly uneasy with this.
Let's just say that this entire situation of someone taking advantage of someone doesn't sit well with me, okay? I don't like him and I don't trust him. And frankly, I think we've gotten into enough trouble on our own that we don't need someone else to find it for us. I like trouble. I'm not complaining about the trouble. I just don't like this trouble.
I wholeheartedly understand. Do you think this one particular job would be enough to get us into? Because from my perspective, I have no interest in maintaining a relationship with a professor, but I also don't see it quite as sharply as you do. From my viewpoint, and I guess maybe one of you might agree with me or disagree, is I see no harm in us doing this job, getting some money, and if we want to bounce, we bounce. We are not signing a contract. We're not entering into a business agreement with him. And I mean, it is 1,500 gold, and I think we could pretty well use the money.
Well, we can't bounce, right? I mean, aren't we here to find the acrobats?
Yes, exactly. Who are
We can't
supposedly,
just bounce.
apparently, according to Lyra, that the acrobats have something to do with the professor. They are living there. So the best way to find
Exactly.
them
So
is to
even if we
continue.
did do something, we couldn't just leave because we'd still have to find the acrobats.
Just
Well,
Yeah.
do we find them?
that makes sense.
Oh, that's our job done for that.
Apparently, it is the world crumbling. No,
The
I
DoorDash, the McDonald's delivery driver breaking into her house.
you will let me in.
Take it.
Yeah. No, I remember when remember I recall from when we discussed with the acrobats back in that city that we all met, that we all remember the name. They
Endriel.
said
Endriel.
Endril, yes, thank you. They did say something to the effect of, we just want to know if they're fine, which of course we don't know if they're well or happy, but we know that they're still alive at least. And that is if, and considering what Lyra said she found that might prove something or not, he did say that he had sort of like the original five. So he used to have 5 students, which apparently all left him, one of which apparently he killed, the other one being Dolores, and the other 3 we don't know. And now he has
If
5 others.
if being fine
Yes,
with the
it-
acrobats just being alive, well, then that gets rid of our reason to do the job for the professor.
Well, I would like
Our
to
main reason.
speak to the acrobats, no, and let them
Yeah,
know that
exactly. I
they're
assume that there's more that we want to know than they're just alive,
That
or else
they're-
we would have left by now.
just that there are people that are worried about them, hired us to find them, make sure they're okay, and if they say, "Yeah, we're fine," then we say, "Okay."
Hired is a strong word. They asked us for a favor.
Yeah, well, you know.
I'm not against finding the acrobats and sticking around long enough for that. I see more harm in doing the job than I think you guys do. This is a big and scary library with hidden powerful knowledge, and if we go in there, we've seen it. People know we've seen it. The college, who specializes in divination magic, will probably eventually find out who went in there, because they'll know someone went in there eventually. And this other college, who's just we don't need to worry about, is who has vested interests in the capital and the Holy See, just having issues that I don't know, we offered to let them sneak into the castle, also would know.
Well,
And I don't feel like it's so simple as we take 1,500 whole gold and then just walk off on our merry way.
Well, to be honest, I don't know
There's
that.
a price for that.
I don't know what I don't know if I want to walk up. I mean, personally, this is the meeting of multiple entities of magical learning, and I find that extremely intriguing. It just so happens to intersect with a task we have been asked to do, and that's, find the acrobats and talk to them, make sure they're okay.
I want to kind of go to the library somehow. I know we can't break in because Tempest is being dangerous and stupid, and the professor says you just can't ask them to go into the library. But if somewhere along the journey we can enter the library, that's my vote.
There you go. You are interested in learning obscure things. I am interested in learning obscure things.
I mean, isn't it also possible that the guy who bought the house might want to clear out those things too? We could always just, what do you call this? I think leverage a position.
maybe, but
Very
us
good, Pat.
approaching him with the, yes, but if we approach him with the subject, it would show that we have knowledge of the situation, and then he would probably inquire as to where we got that knowledge,
True. This is true.
What's
and
our
that
end
would
goal?
be
Our end goal. Honestly, I wouldn't mind getting a look inside the library myself, as would Lyra, apparently.
But it's more than that. You just said there's a meeting of 3, I think you said.
Well, I said a couple of different magical entities, no? Entities of magical learning and knowledge. I mean, we've got the college itself, which, I mean, if you want to go on your way, I mean, I guess I could ask to be a student of the college and perhaps learn something, but it's not really my style. If I could perhaps gain access to the learnings without having to do the uniform. No offense, campus. But so there's the college and all the knowledge they have. Why are they hiding this knowledge? What knowledge is there to be found? Apparently, Lyra is interested in something that is very rare and obscure that may be in the library as well. And then there is this other entity, this the college with which the professor is aligned. I mean, is he asking us to do something shady? From one perspective, yes. I don't necessarily trust him, but I mean, he certainly has things which could be useful, knowledge, if nothing else, which could help all of us.
And honestly, if it might help you put at ease, and I don't and I imagine none of us do. We don't want to come as overbearing towards you, Tempest. We don't try to be. We're not trying to be condescending. We're just sharing our point of view as to why this might not be the worst idea. You asked us what is the end goal. I actually see a very interesting, advantageous position because I don't know about the lot of you, but that dragon cult shit thing that's been burning in the back of my mind for a while, and we might be able to get some more information, whether about the entity itself, how the Raven Queen entombs it, why were they trying to release it, the location of that cult. Because I don't know about you, but liberating a demon dragon lord thing that the Raven Queen has been keeping locked away for millennia doesn't sound particularly appealing to me, and I see this as potential for us to access this information. I agree, there are other ways, but perhaps this was the most expedient of them.
Perhaps members of this, whatever's going on in secret, where they are entering at night and not coming back out, maybe they are members of this cult. Or perhaps they are in opposition to the cult. So if they are members of the cult, then knowing that could help us if we chose to do something about it. If they are in opposition to the cult, then knowing that could help us. Perhaps we could share information with them.
And about the
Well-
whole divination magic thing, there are ways around it. They're not particularly easy, but there are ways that we can avoid detection. And honestly,
Forever.
well, not right now, but the point is, if, and I have no reason to doubt him in that regard, if that truly is an abandoned section, hardly someone would be keeping an eye on those halls, if you will. The house for sure, yes, the house we would have to sneak around, but once inside, and the feeling that I got were the entities that might be there that Andrew and Catherine saw. They were more of like haunted things or entities or aberrations that just occupied an empty space more than they were actively put there for guard. And I think that might be a red line for us. If we get there and it seems very clearly that this has been actively guarded, it might be a good idea to just get out of there.
Why? Why would that
Why?
change things? We're already breaking in.
Because it shows intent in overseeing that place.
I mean, the intent is already there. He built a goddamn house over it.
Yes, but I mean specifically the abandoned part of the.
Do you know, while I understand your concern about the divination and whatnot, but my understanding is not very thorough, but my understanding is to do the things like you are speaking of, like the scrying and things like that, that's very taxing. They cannot have somebody watching all the time. Like, this is a thing you can only do for like a short while.
I don't have a problem with right now. I have a problem with what comes after.
What makes you think they will even know it's us? They would have to know it's us to be able to look in on us, to find us.
If one person knows it's us, they'll all know it's us eventually.
But what one person's going to know it's us besides the professor?
I mean,
God.
I don't think
knows,
there's any
and his
harm.
employer will know.
Yeah, there's a lot we don't know. I mean, there's no harm in like actually confirming. He said we had a week. What these things that he mentioned, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, Tempest is being wise in mentioning that we shouldn't take this professor at face value.
No, I mean, we should use the professor for our own ends. And if the relationship proves useful, then we continue to, move forward as it benefits us, and if we are benefiting him, then he is more likely to benefit us. And until such time as the professor rides up on a big white horse and starts cursing at us and talking to us like we are shit, I don't know that we've chosen the wrong side.
If we do this,
Wait,
I
but
say it's time to stop, will you at least think about it?
Yes. But if you still have reservations, I wouldn't force you to do anything you don't want to. You clearly are uncomfortable with the situation, and you are completely within your rights. The Umbra Lord knows I've dragged you into more random situations than I would have wanted to, and so has Lyra, and so has Pep. And so honestly, it's just missing the two of you to drag us into some weird stuff, and I point at Deziel and Tempest.
Yeah, it's my turn to drag us into something.
Yeah, see? And now we owe you one,
If we're talking
Tempest.
about turns, then I guess I have to go along.
Yeah, see? It's gonna be just you.
I mean,
I made
you
us
don't have
chase
to. It's not like there's a contract or anything.
We really should remake that contract, I miss
No,
that.
What?
shouldn't.
No.
what kind of worried me about the professor was the ghost told me he only needed Dezio.
The rest of us were optional.
So maybe this place isn't that much of a problem. If he only needed one person to handle it. But then why would he pay all of us? This is confusing.
Maybe he just was gonna get Deziel and some other people.
Perhaps he's more interested in me long term. And since everyone came perhaps for this particular issue, he's like, well, since everybody's here, you are the adventuring sort, here's an issue that you can help me with. And perhaps he's wondering on a long term if perhaps I could be a student of his, which at the moment, to tell you the truth, is something on my mind. I consider not perhaps staying at the moment, but keeping my options open to return after I am, who knows?
Yeah, that seems. I believe it's one of those things of like, if one person can do the job in X amount of time, maybe 5 people who seem to at least have some sense of cohesion, which is good that we pretend that we have, because honestly, we have no idea what the fuck we're doing. But yes, but actually, Tempest, that brings a good point. What is you were asking me about the end goal, and do you have something that you feel compelled to do in the short term?
No, not for me.
Okay.
I just my goal has always been simple. I just getting into trouble this size was not quite on the list.
I understand. No, I understand that to be opposed to a decision you don't necessarily have you don't need to have a better idea to understand that one is shit. But yeah, I think if there is hesitation, yes, we shouldn't do it right away. Lyra, is there some sort of, well, it would be going from shady to shadier, but generally criminal underbellies have a lot of information about peoples and cities working. Maybe you know someone that we can pry a bit around.
I mean, I don't know why you would ask me such a thing.
Because
but
in this town.
Yeah, yeah, I know some. Yes. Do you want to go now?
I mean, it's an option. It is a less biased point of view, I suppose.
I mean, I have been searching
Because
for
I
my
will-
friend. He was much better but he brought me to some of the more unfriendly places in the city. So if you guys just, follow my lead, because, I hung around there for a while, I know the scene and the crowd. So if you're just like cool, and just, follow my lead and get in, get some information, and get out.
So this friend of yours, this is not the barbarian woman who hits people in the heads.
No, she sounds lovely though. I would like to meet her.
And so it's Eros, not Ernos.
Nope, it's Ermos.
Hermos. And
Yep.
you asked him about Eros with two R's. It sounded like. I did not hear an M.
Oh. Sometimes my speech, doesn't match my brain.
No, I understand. Sometimes I am difficult to understand as well. So I was just
Mm.
wondering if
Do you
perhaps I
want-
heard incorrectly.
He's a tall tiefling fellow, if that helps. So I don't know. Maybe if we're walking around, you see any tall tiefling fellows, you can be like, that one? And I can be, eh?
Do you know if he's still in town, Lara?
I look around for tieflings.
Make an investigation check.
Make a tiefling check.
Dice server error. Awesome.
Well, as we all know, a tiefling check is either strength athletics to see how far you fling it, or dex acrobatics.
Wow.
Once again, the best rolls are the ones
That don't matter.
that don't matter.
Yeah.
What do I find?
What you do find, as you kind of jokingly start glancing around and, who could be here? You look into one of the empty buildings to your right that you guys are kind of walking alongside that side of the road, and meet a pair of green eyes that quickly duck back into the darkness of the room.
Do I have any idea what the green eyes might be? Like,
They seemed humanoid, at least.
height?
Is everything all
Roughly.
right? Does it...
Roughly, around average height, so 5'9",
Gotcha.
5'10".
Did I catch any shade of skin, anything besides the eyes?
You see a quick flash of kind of tousled, dirty blonde hair, but not much apart from that.
Right, but like a skin tone that would belong to like a human type creature.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
No, I thought I saw something, but it was just a trick of the light, and I turn my back to the window and I say, "There is somebody watching us in the window back there. That when I met its gaze, it hid from us. Human, not tiefling, or at least it looked like a blonde hair and human color skin, green eyes. I did see the green eyes.
Well, I guess I have to fix this, and I'm going to kind of start leaning backwards. And as I'm
Well-
talking to the group, I'm gonna look over at the window.
Well, don't be too obvious. I'm going to send my friend, and I have Eddie just start crawling that way. Just continue the conversation. Just
That's fair.
if I start to sway a little bit,
I'll hold you.
put your arm around my
What
shoulder.
window
or
was
something.
it?
What?
As you're looking at the house, it would be, Drew.
As to where it was, where the face was.
Yeah, like what window would it be? Like second floor,
Yeah.
first floor.
for first floor window. So you kind of turned and made eye contact at
Okay.
eye level.
Yeah, as I was glancing around in the there's the first floor window, but don't look too strong because I don't want to scare it off. I'm gonna have Eddie's on his way to check it out. But just continue the conversation as well. Just
But yes, I was gonna say, Lara, do you know if your friend's still in town?
I
Well, okay.
zone out.
So last time I saw him, he, he's kind of a freelancer, takes jobs here and there, and he loves the sea. I don't really love the sea, so he was leaving on a trip for another job on a big boat, and he invited me to go, but I was like, circus is in town. I'm not really into, being out at sea with no land too long, so I said no. But I don't know. I assume, boat trips don't take this long, so I was hoping he was back in town, but maybe not.
So I shouldn't tire myself too much trying to contact him because there is a likelihood he isn't in town.
I mean, I would never ask of such a thing if it tires you.
We are definitely not going today, right? To the weird, creepy halls?
I don't think
Oh,
so.
no!
Uh-oh.
We lost Mike.
Mike has already gone. Plane shift. Well, is there anything you'd like me to ask him?
Yes. Okay. How many words can I say? How long of a message?
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay, I'll tell you all my words. So say hello,
It's around
Emma. It's
25.
me.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Hello, it's me, Lyra, your dear friend, back in town. I would love to catch up and learn more from you. Your friend, Lyra. Goodbye.
You want to know if he's in town? Or do you want to know where he is?
Okay, fine. Hello, it's me, Lyra. Where are you? I miss you. Killed some stuff. Made some friends. Let's talk soon. Bye. Luck. Farewell. Thanks. End.
That seems okay. I'm gonna pull a little bit of thread, but before I begin to cut the thread, I'm just gonna intently look at Desiel and see if he's like bobbing too much. Try to keep him still, so if something's still watching us, it won't notice that he's like not there.
Diziel, in the meanwhile, what you see, Eddie crawls through a gap in one of the windows into what looks an empty room. That has kind of fallen into various states of disrepair, holes in the ceiling and the floor, the walls worn down and stained. It doesn't, at the moment, appear to have anyone in it.
Can't just use my passive. I rolled excellently as usual, of course. Is there an upstairs or anywhere else to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
guess.
an upstairs, and in the room you are in, or that Eddie is in, there is a large hole, kind of towards the outside wall, that leads up to the next floor.
I guess we'll head upstairs.
All right. As he climbs up the wall in a very normal way that spiders do.
My
Doesn't look creepy at all.
blazing climb speed of 20 feet per 6 seconds.
Silently climbing up, painting his many eyes around the room, he lands on a figure kind of huddled by underneath and in this pile of abandoned sacks. A figure looks to have wedged themselves into this position by the upstairs window and is maybe leaning out towards it in a dark leather cloak, a hood over their face or over their head, facing away. I am the night. No, they don't. They don't say that.
I'm Batman.
I am vengeance. I'm Batman.
So I'll call Eddie to. I'll have him go out. Like, is there a window upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have him.
There's a window in this room that the individual is next to and looking out of.
So he's looking out the window at us.
Yes.
Okay.
Guiding bolt.
And who's wedged in the corner?
That is who's wedged into this kind of pile of rubble.
Okay, so he's wedged into the rubble and looking out the window.
Yes,
Okay,
wedged
sorry.
into the rubble and kind of underneath the window.
Gotcha.
He's
Okay.
kind of poking out through one of the slats of the wood.
Okay. Well, I have Eddie kind of crawl back out of the way, like safe space, like where he came from, you know. And I'll kind of pop out. Just the individual is still. Oh, sorry, did I interrupt?
No, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we are being watched. I don't know by whom, but we are being watched.
What do they look like?
They have blonde hair, cloak, green eyes, average height, human-ish. I did not see the ears.
And this isn't anyone we've seen around before, or like, does it match any of the hairs I stole from the bathroom?
I mean, you wouldn't know, but if you want to pull out the mass of hair you've collected, you could sift through it.
I will try to look, and I'll try to be as discreet as possible, but I will attempt to look to see if I can make out any more detail.
All right. So first make me a perception check, and then make a stealth check. To keep it.
Okay, this is gonna
discreet.
suck. 19, and here comes the bad one. Okay. Yep, pretty much what I expected.
A 5. Do you not have the Beyond 20 where it shows up on?
I have. Didn't it send over?
No, I saw it on D&D Beyond, but
Oh,
it didn't show up on Roll20.
Oh, that's. I wonder where they were going. There they are.
Yeah.
That's true.
Try
Let
refreshing
me-
your D&D Beyond page. You may have opened up D&D Beyond before you opened up Roll20, and so it's not.
Yes, I think that was it. Sorry. But yes, I rolled a 19 on the
Yes,
perception.
I can see the rolls.
Yeah, and I
Um,
rolled a big ol' 5 for stealth.
Yeah, looking over, you see a shadow kind of blocking out a little bit of the light coming from behind the wood. That same pair of green eyes and the thick blonde hair, thick dark blonde hair. Not a ton more to see, but you can see sort of the collar of his woolen cloak, and then sort of the shirt he has underneath of just a beige linen tunic.
While he's
Similar to
Seems to be dressed for discretion.
okay, not similar to any sort of like clothing uniform I've seen around.
Actually, it would be similar, at least of similar material to what the professor was wearing.
Hmm.
So he sort of had
Okay.
a light a blue jacket, but then you would notice a similar beige undershirt.
Okay.
I'll
Eh, eh,
slide out while he's taking a look. I'll slide out my little copper wire and kind of hold it between my fingers and take a look at him. And you know this is I'm about to cast a message. So I wait like half a second before I do to see if you react. Okay, and now doesn't react. I cast message. I point my finger through myself, through my shoulder, and whisper a little message to the individual saying, Juno, it would be more polite if you just come and talk to us. If you run, we will think you mean us harm and bad things may happen.
All of you
and I'm
hear the scuffling of wood as someone kind of moves quickly in surprise. And then Desiel, you hear in response, because you can reply to message.
Yes,
right?
and they know they can respond. They can whisper
Right.
back.
Oh, hey. Yeah, fine. You got me. You hear steps within the house, and then someone hopping down to the bottom floor, and then exiting out what was the front door. The individual that the two of you had seen, of average height and build. As he pulls his cloak off, you see kind of this shock of wavy, curly, dirty blonde hair. As he has this dark, stealthful cloak wrapped around him. The same style of leather boots that Tempest and Lyra you saw in the professor's in that wardrobe. And then a very stealthy ensemble of clothing. He kind of steps up sheepishly, holds out his hand, just kind of to you guys as a group, sort of. Andrew Traherne. Nice to meet you.
Andrew.
The professor told me to follow you.
Oh, okay.
So didn't do the best.
No,
I
it's
guess.
okay. I mean, I have no reason to tell him. I mean, you can follow us. I have no reason to tell him that we know that you're following us.
That'd be good.
Sure.
That'd be pretty good. That would help me out a lot.
I'll have Eddie start walking back towards us.
So you guys are you're the guys he got for the library job.
Well, to clear out the tunnels, no, that go to the library.
Right. Yeah.
Are you one of the people who?
Why don't you say it a little louder, Andrew? I don't think those guys over there heard us.
I made sure there's no one around. I looked.
Are you sure? I'm just saying he clearly didn't send his best for the job of following us. So.
Okay, I'm having a bad day. Maybe. Okay. I'm
Yeah, you
normally very
suck.
good.
Join the club, buddy.
I'm the one who got into the house, so you know.
Congratulations, you got poached.
Okay.
So
as them
And they'll
pour to
just
drink.
just loudly
Yeah.
takes a drink.
Exactly.
He glares back at Tempest as she assuredly glares at him.
I flick my hair so it whacks him in the face and turn back around to my friends.
So, okay, so you are one of the people who snuck in the first time.
Yeah. It was me and Catherine.
Okay.
I don't know if I should be telling you all this, but you're doing the job, right?
Yeah, and you're going to be telling this us again later anyway. So
Exactly. Yeah, I figured that would be.
I'm just wondering.
Yes, we're doing it because you couldn't.
Weren't you supposed to give us a map?
He will be doing that later when we see him for the first time.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, I don't have it on me. It's back at the villa.
Okay,
Well,
so
that was thoughtful of you.
in exchange for us not telling him that, well, you failed in your mission to follow us secretly, I suppose you could not tell him that I'm going to ask you whether you know some people. Is this fair? I simply want to know if you know a couple of people and how they're doing.
Okay.
Is this the kind of information that you would feel comfortable not relaying to the professor?
Yeah.
Okay,
As
Inside
long as it doesn't come up.
insight check.
Inside check.
He seems innocent, but he's just. Yeah.
13. Yeah, he seems more put off or more confused by the premise of the question. Like that wasn't what he was expecting. Then
Why is it not sent?
then like he's not telling you the truth.
No, I have no interest in holding your feet to the proverbial fire. I simply want innocent information. And Patrice and Alexia, you know these people, no?
Yeah, they joined us. They were one of the acrobats that joined us a few months. What was it, like 6 or 7 months ago?
Yes. Do they seem like okay and happy with their current situation?
Are you kidding me? Yeah, they're way more into it than the rest of us.
Okay. Do they ever talk about their family or the peoples from the circus they left?
Oh yeah. They came from, I guess it was what was it called? Was Nicolette? No, Norbert's
Nestor.
Nestor. That's what it was. Yeah, from Nestor's circus. And yeah, they talk about it sometimes. Like they say they had a talking bear. They say they miss him and the rest of their acrobat troupe. You know, they feel homesick from time to time, but they are right on board with the whole read the information, keep take back what they're holding from us. Like they really jumped onto that.
Okay.
They drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, is this like a cult thing where, like, do you all get brainwashed? I mean, I guess if you've been brainwashed, then you wouldn't think that you've been brainwashed.
I was gonna say I wouldn't really. I mean,
Yeah. Do they
don't-
do the two of them seem particularly? Oh yes, we are following the cult leader.
I mean, I wouldn't call him a cult leader.
Well, no.
Of course, that's what I would say
Yes,
if he
of
was a
course.
cult. Obviously.
I am not calling him a cult leader. I'm just wondering if if these two seem to have bought in and drank the honeymead, as they say.
They've bought into the cause. More so than him. I don't think they don't fully trust him. I mean, none of us do. Like, we don't really know what all's going on with him. Just that he knows a lot about magic and being sneaky.
Okay.
If he's really powerful and sneaky, why doesn't he just clear the tunnels by himself?
He's good, but like the stuff we heard in there was like, oh, like we saw these. They're like spiders, but they have claws.
Crabs.
That's kinda, except instead of being like this, they're like this. And they had this nest web. I don't know what you call it on the ceiling. They were asleep or resting at least when we were passed by them, which was good, but all the noises they made were awful. There were just things skittering all over the place. We saw a glowing rat for a second. And then when we got close to the library, it was, or to the college's library, it was something really, really, really big and really mean sounding, and we didn't want to mess with that, and he doesn't want to either.
So why are you so interested in taking back this information from a big, powerful college?
Don't tell him this. I think it would hurt his feelings. But I really don't care. I'm here to learn magic.
Okay.
And he teaches us magic. As long as he keeps doing that, I'm good.
What can you do to teach you?
Oh, do you want to see my favorite one?
Yeah.
A couple of us can do this. I think it's really, really cool. It was one he taught us like a year ago almost. One of the first ones he taught some of us. Watch this. And he kind of rummages in the pouch. Or no, he doesn't. Excuse me. He takes his hands and kind of waves them over his face multiple times, and as he does, you see the appearance of his face change as kind of the shimmer goes over him, and then when at the end he looks precisely like Lyra.
Oh,
Huh.
that's
Ta-da!
it.
I mean, Lyra can do that too.
Yeah,
Really?
Is it
pretty easy actually.
disguise self?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, Andrew, this is why we're
How long
both
have you been
genius.
studying?
Got out.
Like 8 months?
No, I mean this is good. This is good. This is that's a very useful skill to have. A very useful spell. That's
Yeah,
impressive.
Lyra,
so good.
You do it very well.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Lyra,
Yes,
did it take you
absolutely.
8 months to
You-
learn that spell?
What else can you do?
This is a spell I know myself. It is. It took me a little while
Lyra?
to learn. Good job.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
Lyra.
takes a while. It's hard to do.
Just they are not students of magic, so
Yeah,
okay.
they wouldn't
We all
they
learn a
wouldn't
different
know.
no.
Did you also get
Exactly.
kicked out? Or like rejected from the other school?
I would say we had a difference of opinion, creative differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
Creative
say when I lose
Because
fights
differences.
too.
you wanted to go
Yeah,
in
creative
and they
differences.
wanted you to go out.
I mean, who's to say who really made the final decision as to where I would or would not be attending?
The more powerful side of the
The bargain.
bargain.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I turn over, half chuckling to Desiel. We promised we wouldn't bully any
No,
more
no.
students, and didn't specify that it wouldn't be any more academy students, so we
Just
shouldn't
this is
take the
true.
shit out of
Okay.
this one.
No, it's the people who do not understand that studying magic it takes time, And Andrew, you're doing very well. So,
He is.
the gist of
Praying
the
is his
conversation that we are having when you report back to the professor, I don't know how much you were able to hear.
I could hear it.
Okay, so basically, there's some concern about whether or not we want to do this thing, and as long as it
Yeah.
makes it worth our while and it does not appear to be too dangerous, it's you know, I don't know. There's some concern.
It seems like it. I mean, to me, it seemed like it's pretty dangerous. Like, the monsters in there are pretty.
Yeah,
Ooh.
you know.
But you guys are like adventurers, right?
Yeah,
So that should
we've been a couple
no
of places.
problem for you.
Yeah, it's always fun to have a little bit of adventure here and there. I think the main concern is the College of Magic finding out who we are. I think is the main concern, right, Tempest? Yes. That is the main concern. Them finding out who we are and then being upset with us.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're pretty focused on not having that happen too.
So how did you avoid that? So you, I assume, haven't been contacted or hadn't been followed since Jew went down there, correct?
I know. I mean, we don't get caught, so that's mostly how we avoid it. If they don't know we're there,
okay,
they have no reason to.
How do we know you haven't been caught? You're obviously very easy to catch for us.
I mean,
I didn't want to say it, but
I'm here. I'm not being tortured or whatever in the college.
Yeah, this is a fair.
Oh,
Oh,
the
so
colleges
the college
have
tortures people.
tortures?
Okay, not that we know of.
Well, you most definitely
like,
don't, considering you got rejected. But
Who knows what they do? Hey,
just saying.
That's true.
And to
Maybe
be
they
fair-
saw him and just thought he was a little,
Maybe they didn't think you were torture material enough. Like.
I mean, did you
Yeah.
had you been studying magic before you asked to join them, Andrew?
as such,
No. So you were beginning.
per se.
So you applied without having any real reason to.
No, he applied without
No,
having having
no.
the knowledge.
I
You have to start
had-
somewhere.
I had read some of the books from my town about how magic works. I know about weave and how we do, how spells are cast. Like, I didn't have the stuff to do it. Like, we were pretty poor. Like, you can't just get, like, gold dust to cast spells.
Yeah.
So,
And you
there
need
was
somebody to teach you how to do the intricacies. It's not like you can just, pick up a thing and say,
exactly.
"Hey, teach me magic," and it just gives you magic abilities or
I
something like.
didn't have a spell book. I didn't have a teacher. The wizard in our town died.
Have you thought about, well, I heard from a good friend of mine that if you pray really hard, you get magic. So have you ever tried that?
If the god likes you.
I mean, there's a lot of gods out there. Did you pray?
I mean, yeah, that didn't really seem like my thing. They may
Also,
not
like, do you
me at some
know?
of the- what?
Do you know who your boss is working for, by the way?
What do you mean?
Nothing.
Like, do you notice if, like, the professor was talking to someone and he seems to be, like, kind of deferential a little bit, maybe he's, like, lowering his head a little bit.
Like, does he have a boss? Does your boss have a boss?
Yeah.
I guess. Like, he's never said, like, I'm here alone, and
But you never seen a boss of your boss or anything.
I mean, not that I know of. I know there's people that he talks to, that he's part of some, like, organization, I guess, but he's kind of here on his own.
A cabal, if you will.
Sure.
Amniel knows all about that.
What?
I wish.
Are you a part of his organization? Do you know anything about him?
No, I'm
kinda curious.
actually a former member of an organization that is always in the sky looking at everything that you do, especially at those nights that you're alone.
What were you saying about bullying
Mother
people?
wasn't lying to me.
I'm
What?
sorry. It was a joke. It was a joke.
It's
You are right.
true. Folks.
You broke up.
Jokes need to be like a lie, right? What you said is true.
What?
We don't watch you all the time.
Don't.
Okay.
Ja-
Okay.
What are you talking about, Amiel? You watch people? What the? Okay, I don't know how you're gonna ask.
Okay.
Oh,
Anyway.
you weren't. Right.
Yeah.
I forgot. I have something to tell you later.
Anyway, so Andrew, I guess good job on your studies. And I guess you'll be telling us later a good way to get in without being seen and where we should be going, no?
Yeah, when I meet you for the first time.
Yes, exactly. When are we likely to see Alexia and Patrice ourselves?
Patrice and Alexia, where are they're out on? Oh, they were out intercepting some messenger and support for the college and trying to get their information. They're outside the city. It might be a few days before they get back. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Well, see you around, I suppose.
See you around.
Toodaloo.
As we leave, I want to like kind of stay back and like lean over to Andrew. By the way, that whole thing that you did, that was magic, right? Like you study.
Yeah. Didn't he say you could do it too?
Just something you learned how to do.
Right, like you.
Okay, bye. Just gonna walk away before you can finish that thought.
As we're walking, I'm
Studying,
gonna.
Andrew. In 8 months, you might know Firebolt.
Shut up.
I lean over to Desio and I go, "You have no idea how much I want to send a message to him with another voice, trying to tell him that I'm always watching. But I will not. But that would be very fun."
What is the thrill that all of you have of bullying poor students? All of you.
Look, I was picked on at school. It's fun to do it to other people because that's what you do with trauma. You pass it along. You don't
You do
learn
also
from
realize
it.
this isn't a school. This is like maybe a cult or a criminal organization. Like,
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're just calling it a school. Like,
He is a student, one way or another. He isn't a student. And the ones that you were bullying the other night, he wasn't a student.
both of them were engaging in crime, so.
What
One
crime
man
was
called me
he
a
doing?
vigilante.
What crime was he doing?
He was trying to con Lyra out of some gold. And
No,
this one
Andrew.
is part of a criminal organization.
What was he
not
doing
that.
that was illegal?
I mean, stalking us.
That's not
Is
illegal.
one.
That's the thing we do all
Following
the
us
time.
to the professor who is nefarious. That doesn't mean it's not illegal. It just means that we are also criminals. Which
We've
makes me
definitely done
hypocrite,
many
not
illegal
wrong.
things, I think.
So, how
I
is
mean,
it
we
then?
did totally steal a sundial.
We did not steal the sundial. We may have stolen the sundial.
Being criminals does not make us incapable of recognizing crime, okay? Is all I'm saying.
Okay.
We'd be
So,
experts
but-
at recognizing crimes because
Yes.
we commit
Exactly.
But
crimes.
it does make it seem like your excuse for bullying somebody holds very little water, because it seems like you just want an excuse to bully somebody.
I don't think I was bullying him, Desiel. Andrew needs to toughen up if he's going to be part of a criminal organization.
And the student that was studying, you were not
He
bullying
was trying
him?
to con my friend out of some gold. He deserves no sympathy.
He actually wasn't. Lyra was asking him to take her gold.
You can't. That seems very victim blaming of you. I don't feel like you can ask to be like. swindles.
If you are told, hey, I don't do that thing, and then you say, hey, I'll give you 100 gold if you do that thing, like, he already told you he doesn't do the thing. Now you're just offering him money. So he tried to make you happy.
He told me he could tell me my future or my past. I wasn't
He
picky.
did.
After he did say that he couldn't.
Yes, first he said no, and then you said, well, if I give you money,
Yeah.
can you? And he was like, sure.
Well, he said like, no, like as if it was like a question mark. Like maybe I could for the right price. It wasn't like a flat out like I absolutely cannot do this.
And he was reading a divination book.
And he's a dweeb.
Yeah, he's supposed to be smart.
You are all bullies. Do you know this, right?
Oh yeah, I do it for a living.
You lose for a living is what you do. Actually.
Yeah, but you know, if you gotta lose, you gotta sometimes knock some heads around. You know, you don't ask. You know, you just do.
Honestly, I will say, after you switched managerial acquaintances, your track record has been pretty good. I think you haven't lost a single battle since then.
Yeah, those don't really count though, right? I mean,
Why not?
well, all of us are fighting. That's not a match.
Okay,
You know.
sure. I guess.
I'm
that's-
just talking about it from a sporting perspective, of course, not like
Yeah.
Can we also?
Do you know fair
maybe lessen
fights?
the-
Like no magic. Fair fights. Can we also do what? Tempest?
Yeah, what was? Isn't that in a way bullying? Anyway,
Isn't what in a way bullying?
Patrice
Using horrible
and
magics in a
Alicia-
fight that was supposed to be fair?
yes. Anyway,
That's why I
Patrice
said
and
you are all
Alicia have
bullies.
nothing to do. I wasn't in that one. You're very
That's
judgmental
true.
today,
No,
Danielle.
no,
Have you
no.
changed God?
No, I am not. I did not say. The reason this is how I include Amnael in the bully equation because of the horrible magics he busted out with the.
I'm just
Jeff.
saying, you clearly woke up on the judgy side of bed. today.
Jeff must have burnt some of the biscuits this
He
morning.
must have, yes.
No,
I just don't know why you gang up on people. No, anyway, forgive me. I am being judgmental. That's true. It's true. In my defense of the students of magic, I am being judgmental, and that is no good. Forgive me. Anyway, we should
I
go.
have many things, but I've never claimed to be a good person. I am, however, interested in what we're gonna do if Patrice and Alicia really don't show up for a few days. Are we just gonna?
Well, I imagine we do this thing. We make some gold. We find out what information we can. When Patrice and Alexia get back, we have a little conversation with them, and we decide where do we go from there.
What did Nestor exactly want us to do? He just
Nestor
wanted us
didn't
to
want
check.
us to do anything, did
It
he?
wasn't Nestor. It was the acrobats.
Oh,
The-
yeah.
The
it
other-
was. Yes.
Oh.
Damn, I don't have my notes. But the two acrobats, they wanted to see. They just wanted news about Patrice and Alexei. Which I mean, depending on your definition of news, we could fulfill that right about now.
Melissa and Anderson.
Well,
Melissa and Anderson, correct. I could just
if
talk
we
to one of them right
yeah,
now.
if we take Andrew's words at face value, we know they're safe.
Yeah,
Supposedly.
and I have no
So-
reason to doubt him, at least. Much more than the professor, for sure.
Well,
But I don't know if we should take Andrew's word at face value. I
there
mean,
you go. Thank you, Pep, because what you just said was
that
silly.
guy's-
I mean, if you asked me, like, hey, could you go talk to my friends and make sure they're okay? And then I came back and I was like, hey, your friends are fine. You say, oh, you saw them, you talked to them. And I was like, nah, but I talked to this guy and he said they were fine. Like, oh, really? Where did you meet this guy? Oh, he was spying on us, you know, being sneaky shady. But he says they're fine. It's okay. Do you think, you know?
Honestly, if we're not doing something too important for the rest of the day, I could make a two-way communication. I could directly see if either Patrice or Alexia are fine and send news back to the circuit.
Oh,
We could
how
do
you can do that? You can talk to them?
Yes.
Oh, well, why don't we just do that in the beginning?
Because I was saving myself for any other particular situations that might come up. But since we're
Wait, this whole time you could have talked to them, and we've been asking.
this
asking
whole
them-
time is a strong word. I could since 2 days ago.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, why don't we just do that? And, yeah.
Sure.
I
Well,
mean, I guess.
I mean, he may or may not get a message since it is a strange voice coming in from whomever. But regardless, honestly, I still want to do this thing. I want to go down and do this thing. And it's an adventure, and it's money, and it's fighting, and I don't see what the problem is.
I mean, if you
Yeah,
want to do
yeah.
it, I'm down. You know me, I'm always ready
Let's
to
do
go.
it. Okay.
I
And-
particularly agree. I agree with Tempest's reservations, and I think there is a difference between taking this job, joining the wizard cult. I think we can do one without getting ourselves too neck deep into anything.
And we can also check out what he wants down there. And if it's too
Yeah.
dangerous, we'll keep it or something, you know?
There we go. Pep, the
Exactly.
voice of reason, as always.
Yes.
And I mean, we can probably get quite a few beers out of that, right? So
Just absolutely. I mean, it is a cellar. They probably have kegs of wonderful beer down there.
This plan is
probably a
already
nice-
sounding better in my head. Yes.
But yes, Tempest, if at any point you feel uncomfortable, at least I believe that we should be able to have boundaries. And if at any point you feel like we are in imminent, reasonable danger, we can bail on what we're doing at that moment.
Well, at least if it all goes to shit, I can say I told you so.
Just you can.
Yes.
Um,
So should I talk to them now?
yeah, do it.
Right now, here in the middle of the street.
Do you need like a private room or something? I mean,
No, but I guess, well, what should I ask them?
I mean, maybe you
Hey,
announce you're calling on
you're-
behalf of the circus.
Yeah, your friends are worried about you. They just want some news. If you happened to go by, is the Scheming Rat here in Yothal? No. What city was the circus?
It's on the outskirts of Morkainen.
Morkainen, yes. If you want to leave some news for them, they will be passing by Morkainen at some point, which they probably already did, but it's the only information that we have. Does that sound like a
You can say all of this.
Well, I'll try to be succinct.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can do it. I mean, we could do it now. We could do it later. Do we have anything else you want to do around town? Anybody?
Not really.
No. Okay then. Well, I
I mean,
suppose.
would it be a stupid idea to just like? I know the professor said they would laugh in our face, but would it hurt to just go to the school and be like, "We're potential students touring the campus"?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
Who wants to go talk to the school? I'll talk to the school.
If you want to go, I'll sure go with you.
Okay.
sure.
All right. So where is it you guys are gonna head for now?
To the school, apparently.
The school?
Is it still daytime?
Yeah. It's
Okay. Yeah.
around midday or a little after midday.
So.
Yeah, because it
Lara,
was morning. It was the first hour of the morning, first thing in the morning that we go.
So, if I may suggest, if
Mm.
they decide no, they slam the door in our face, laugh at us, things like this, perhaps don't make any allusions to our knowledge about their library, or fine, we'll just get in another way, or things like that might.
Oh, because those are secrets. I got it.
Yes. Okay.
I was thinking of, maybe making myself look smarter, so I won't even be Lyra. I was gonna make persona of I'm a smart student. I want to study here.
Okay.
The smart student doesn't know about the tunnels, so
I can help you with that.
okay.
Okay.
Are we sure we want to go with smart?
I can act as a smart student, Pep.
Okay. So you're gonna use that that spell that Andrew person did before?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. And perhaps I could help you be a little wiser.
Okay.
Okay.
Very well.
That's one of those wisdom versus intelligence things, right? Intelligence tells you it's raining. Wisdom tells you to go inside.
Indeed.
Wow.
Intelligence is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting tomato in a fruit salad.
There you go.
And charisma is selling ketchup as a juice.
Okay,
Like just
so
selling ketchup.
yeah.
If you think about it.
So ketchup used to be made with mushrooms. So yeah, it's true. So is everybody wanting to go speak with the College of Magic as potential students, or me and Lyra, or is everybody coming with us, or?
Tempest, do you want to come along? I mean, isn't it good for you to maybe get a vibe for this place? And then you'll know if you want to go down to the library.
Yeah. Sure.
Perfect.
Okay, I guess we're going to the college.
I don't know if I should go though.
No?
Why?
I don't think I can sell the whole being a student of the arcane thing very well.
Ooh, what if you're our guide? Like, chaperone, because we're young kids trying to make it in the world.
Even though I'm about the same age as Desiel.
Do
You know that?
I'm wondering. Perhaps you could take Pep and go get a drink somewhere, and you can do your messaging, and the three of us can go talk to the School of Magics, no?
Sounds like a plan. What do you think, Pep?
All right.
Do you need some money?
I'll take some.
Yeah, I'll pull out like 10 gold and hand it to him.
Okay. Thank you, Dad.
I could use a gold. Yeah.
I give him. I give Pep a gold, and I give Lyra a gold. This is for the rooms last night. Thank you.
Oh.
Hey Pep, do you want to go to the Magical Academy?
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, if you can offer me a drink or a book, I'm gonna take a drink, right? Unless you guys need me to go, but I don't know if you need me to strong arm a bunch of nerds.
I don't think you need to punch them in the face this time. Not
that's
yet.
what I figured.
Maybe we'll give you a chance to punch them later, but not this time.
Yeah, and Lyra's been training. She should at least be able to take on one dweeb or something like that. But yeah,
Won't let you down, Pep.
yeah, sure.
Pepsana.
All right. The three of you?
Yes.
The three of you head back towards the center of the city, where the college is located. Hit this flag. There's a hanging edge on the map. There we go. And obviously the crowds get, or the groups of people getting larger and larger as you head more into the vibrant heart of the city. And here is a rough map of the college. You guys enter through the main gates down here where people kind of stream in and out. Mostly students, which you can see by their uniforms and just the general white and blue theming of their clothes. As the three of you kind of walk onto this bustling campus, it's almost a town within the city unto itself, as you see various shops and vendors and things like that. Walking forward, you can see the sort of main square here where you have the lecture, or the go on to okay, that's the lecture building here, the sort of administrative center, as well as the small park that's kind of set up, and you see many very stressed out students strolling through the nice plants and trees. And yes, you are in the center of this campus.
Before we entered the campus, I would have found like, I don't know, a dark alley and been like, everybody turn around, I'm shy, and then disguised myself as like a young, naive, kind of like the kid that we bullied in the, I would disguise myself as the kid we bullied in the cafe.
Okay. Now your clothes don't change.
Nope.
Facially and in features, you resemble a young student at
You didn't steal those clothes, though.
I did. I'm gonna put those clothes on. And I'm gonna walk around with a diary I stole too, just so it's a book, you know? So I'm a student, I'm learning, I have a book.
Yep. The rest of you see Lyra go in, and this young man that you had bullied the previous evening, wearing the same base set of clothing that Andrew was in, now stepping out to greet you from the shadows of the alleyway.
Lyra?
I don't know who Lyra is. My name is Thomas. I'm here to learn. Let's go.
Thomas, Thomas, if I may just make a couple of suggestions to help just a little bit. One, you seem to be wearing clothes that other individuals who are not necessarily friends of this institution tend to wear. Two, they may recognize the face that you are currently using. So if you want to make it a bit more feminine to go with your voice, or a bit younger, change it however you may. You know, hold on a second. Let me, if I may.
I'm a student. I need to learn.
I pull an owl's feather out, and I cast Enhance Ability, Owl's Wisdom, at 3rd level on both Lyra and myself.
Right. Do you mind just popping that up so we can have the... There we go. Wisdom target has to manage on wisdom checks. Yes, this. All right.
So
you begin to feel Lyra immediately as he does this. Maybe dressing up as the people who are supposed to be stealthy and not involved with the college. Maybe that's a bad idea. Just tickling the back of your mind. It's a thought you've never had before, that an idea you've had is bad, or might be bad.
Oh, magic is so cool. I'm gonna go back to the alley. I'm gonna just wear like kind of what I wear under my armor. So I come back out. I'll just kind of just be like, a linen shirt, trousers, and boots. And I won't disguise myself as the kid we bullied in the cafe. I will disguise myself as a female version of the kid we bullied in the cafe.
Ah. If we had a big enough following, there'd be some fan art of that.
Of Lyra
I'll
getting
come out.
bullied. We need fan art of Lyra getting bullied.
I'll come out and I'll give the giant glaive to Aniel.
He's not here.
He's not here. Oh, it's just us. Okay.
I can put that away for us if you want.
Okay.
I have the glaive. Cough, cough, cough,
Oh,
cough.
you have it?
Gave me
You took
have
it back?
the glaive.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
Stop my
I had that
glaive!
back last week.
That's right.
You do have the
okay.
sword
Yep.
that I gave you in the room, but you never gave back. So you have like a 3-foot long sword.
Okay. I feel that knowledge is more important than violence. I'll hand you the sword. You could hold on to that for me.
Yes, of
I will
course.
only be studying.
Yeah, you're not wearing glasses.
I know.
Okay, just making sure.
I will put the sword in the bag handle first. I assume it's not so sharp that it just like cuts me, like it's like
Yeah.
a Hattori Hanzo blade or something like that. Or just like I touch it and my hand falls off.
Yeah, have you ever seen Kung Fu Panda?
Yeah.
It's the one where it cuts you if you look at it. It's so sharp if you look at it, it cuts you. There's my obscure reference for the evening.
Right.
DreamWorks movies from the mid-2000s.
So as we begin walking towards the, through the quad of the campus, I want to look around and see if anybody has put their glasses down, or is wearing their glasses like up on their head, or otherwise in a less noticeable position if they were to float away.
You'd be a bit more specific.
So sometimes you have glasses and you like put them down and
I do.
yeah, or you like might put them on your head, whatever. So
I don't 'cause I'm blind, but
okay, fair enough. I would like to, as we walk around, I mean, glasses exist, I assume.
they do.
Okay.
Spectacles.
I would like to see if there is a pair of spectacles that I could try to retrieve invisibly without ripping them off of somebody's face.
I see. I see.
You know, like if they're wearing them on their head, like Tempest currently is.
Right. Yeah.
Or they put them down.
Yeah, especially as if you walk towards this this park here that's been put in the middle of the campus, that there are several students. The students are kind of sit in clusters, feverishly poring over their books in the vain hope that their serene surroundings will somehow reduce the stress of them cramming for their studies. You pick out several students who have lain glasses to the side, or they have been kind of shuffled to the side and appear to be slightly out of the immediate attentive zone.
I would like to use my invisible mage hand to drag some glasses along the ground, not just make them float through the air to me, but just kind of, kind of scoot them along the ground, just above the ground towards us.
Very good, very good. Yes, you can do that pretty easily.
Okay. I kind of bring them up to hand, and I don't know what to call you. What should I call you? Lamas?
Thomasina.
Thomasina?
Yes.
There you go.
Tina.
Mina, you said?
Amina.
Tamina, yes.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I saw you doing the thing, and so I thought perhaps you like some glasses, spectacles.
Yes, now Lyra, I assume this means Lyra puts them on.
Mhm.
Your vision's a little blurry.
Yes, I was gonna say, do any of you either have really bad vision, or do you have people you know who have really bad vision
And
and
you
you've
put their
tried on
glasses
their
on.
glasses?
Yes.
Yeah, so whoever it is, whoever it is that has these glasses, or had these glasses, it seems to, they had taken them off because they are not much useful for seeing what is right in front of you. But past a certain radius, say, the corrective part of the corrective lenses takes shape. And so when you put these on, you have maybe about a 20-foot zone where things look pretty much fine. But beyond that, quickly things are kind of warped and made bigger and than they are in your view. So while you are wearing these glasses, outside of 20 feet, you have disadvantage on perception checks.
Okay.
Because these aren't your prescription.
Which means you make normal perception checks because you currently have advantage on perception. It's a
That
wisdom-based
is
skill.
true.
Ooh.
Only outside of
Only
20,
outside of 20.
20-foot radius around you.
Yeah.
So within that 20-foot radius, still an advantage. Or I should specify on perception checks involving sight.
Yeah. There you go.
Specifically.
Do we
So if you're
not just
trying-
want to pop the lenses out of these?
No, because that wouldn't work because we're going to be face to face with somebody.
But these kids, they're half
You
of
never
them
know.
are probably wearing glasses just for fashion.
This could be a fashion,
True,
exactly.
This could be true. Well,
I don't have time for fashion, only my study.
Jess.
Sorry,
Emily,
Tommy, I didn't mean to
don't mean that.
insult you.
Okay. Well, and we head to the provost's office, or the office of admission, or
Yeah, so you head into the administrative office building, where there is kind of an information desk, so to speak, with a kind-faced elf sitting there and answering a few people's questions and pointing out to maybe new students, where they need to be going and things like that. Do you approach?
Yes.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Just good afternoon to you.
What can I do to help you?
Well,
Are you here visiting?
we are interested in learning.
Oh, are you here to apply?
Yes, we are interested in, perhaps becoming students. If don't know the application process. Also, I don't imagine. I know you have libraries and stuff. Are they and such? Are they only available to students, or?
Oh no, of course no. The main library, with books pulled straight from the great library underneath this very college, is in the lecture halls. It is off to the eastern wing. You will be able to find whatever it is you wish there. Should you wish to apply, you may. And she kind of rustles and takes out some sheets of paper. Fill these applications with your name and otherwise, and then you will take them to the admissions office. She gestures down a hallway, and they will be contacting you if they wish to proceed with your admission testing.
Oh, well, you are very kind and helpful. How do they determine?
That is my duty.
Well, it's much appreciated. How do they determine whether or not somebody is, I guess, worth the interview?
Oh, they keep that all very, very under wraps. You see, I could not tell you even if I knew the entire criteria.
So, and it's all based on whatever we write here on the application paper.
perhaps not. This is a divination college, after all. The divination college.
Does that mean, like, if we were to give you something, then they could just, like, divine everything about us?
Oh, it could. Very well could.
Insight check.
Go for it. With advantage.
Yeah. My amazing rolls.
Once again. She's pretty clearly, she's having a bit of fun
Gotcha.
with you, because it's pretty clear that she doesn't really know
Yeah.
entirely how it works out. But I don't mean to scare you. The mages here are as skilled as any you will find in the world. Whatever decisions they make are assuredly the correct ones. Regarding whose magical intuitions are to be allowed the most room to grow here.
So, Drew, out of character, is the Great Library like a well-known thing?
Oh yeah,
Okay. All right.
it is absolutely well known that in places underneath Alterum, at least, the Great Library, which was a part of the Great Blessing, is sort of it's, again, not much is known about it because very quickly the colleges, took tight control of their sections of it. You know that it is a massive repository of learning held underground.
Okay. So I ask her, so if we were to go to this library, is there anyone with whom we should speak to find information? Or do we just peruse the shelves ourselves?
You may peruse yourself, or any of the librarians there will be happy to help you.
Well, thank you very much. We'll gladly fill these out and hope to see you again soon.
Indeed. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Don't need luck, but thank you.
Very well.
If we want to submit our applications, do we just give them to you or mail them in, or?
You may take them to the admissions office,
Okay.
or you may
Thank
leave
you.
them here with me if you like, and I shall see to it that they reach it.
Well, to the library then, and we can fill out our applications perhaps while we're there. Okay.
Right.
So we go to the library.
Yep, I suppose so. While we do that, Pep and Mnail, is there anything in particular you guys wanted to do?
Not necessarily. I believe we're just going to grab a drink, have something to eat. As we're walking,
Oh, sorry.
as we're walking, I'm gonna say to Pep, I don't know if I'm going to contact them. Not whilst everyone isn't together. I feel like there's no reason to rush it. I mean,
I
I
mean,
don't
yeah,
know what you think. But
whatever you're comfortable with. Are you sure you can even get a hold of them? I mean, can you just contact anyone then?
I don't know. I believe I can, but I've honestly only tried this once, and it was with someone who I knew closely, so I guess no time to find out like today, right?
Did it work with the person that you tried it on?
Touchy subject. I actually have no idea. Unfortunately, I got no response, but I don't know if that's because I was unable to reach them, if they were unable or unwilling to respond. Yeah.
All right. Well, Yeah, we can totally wait for everyone else. What do you think about this job, though? You have a good feeling about this professor guy? I mean, Tempest seemed pretty against it.
Yeah, I honestly, I really get it where she's coming from. The whole thing with Dolores really tipped me off that this guy, that there's something weird about him. Although in our interaction, I wasn't really, I didn't sense much falsehood coming from him, if you will. Uh, he's shady for the sake of being shady, apparently. Um, his motives seem to be relatively honest, but I understand the argument of we shouldn't be going ahead and just doing a job because um, we might get caught. But as I said, I think Desiel has gone too far in the yes, we should definitely do this. In Tempest is in the no, we should definitely not do this. And I think there is a world where we do this job, and if things don't go well, we just go and do the next thing, search for the next thing.
Hmm.
What did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I don't know a lot about magic, so I don't know how scary magic can be. It seems like Tempest knows, though. But I mean, you and Desiel would know too, so I mean, I trust you guys. And to be honest, like, Desiel sounds like he wants to, smash some knuckleheads. So that sounds like a blast. Um, and I'm always down to, you know, tango. But but also I've been meaning to ask you, what was that about, like watching people and stuff?
Oh yes, huh? You weren't there for the conversation. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I do know
Um,
everything. So if you don't want to rehash the whole
no,
thing,
no, I know, no, but it's fine. Um, remember when I said that I had a falling out with my boss?
mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to tell you something that I haven't told anyone else. Uh, because of the sole reason of something that you said once. I remember when we were in the gardens, uh, and they started ganging up on you. You said something about your father, and also when we played Truth or Dare, you were very touchy about that subject, which is totally fair. So, I used to work. Is that the correct word? I don't know. But I used to be a part of a group called the Celestial Protectorate. And the Protectorate is generally very attentive to what happens in the prime material plane. And they do so by watching what mortals do. So they kind of kept an eye on a few people. At one point, I was one of those until I meddled too much for the liking of my boss, my overseer, and he decided that I should. If I wanted to meddle so much in the prime material plane, I might as well be on it. And so my father expelled me from it.
So, oh, yeah, I can understand getting kicked out by your dad. That sucks. Um,
Yeah,
I can relate with that. But you got kicked out of this protectorate thing then.
unfortunately.
So kind of like Andrew with the college.
Where are you going with this?
I'm just saying, you know, I'm just asking. But yeah, okay. So like
To be
that
fair, I did get into the protectorate. He didn't get into the college.
that's true. That's true. So that's the planes walking stuff you were talking about before. Then.
Yes.
So, are you trying to get back into college?
I don't know, actually.
I mean, not the college, the
I
protectorate.
Yes, I understood what you meant. I honestly have no idea. I mean, even if I did, it's definitely not something that's within my reach currently. Um, but I guess it would be nice seeing my mother again. If not to go back to the protectorate, at least go back home.
I'm sure you'll go back home.
I hope so too.
We'll figure something out. I mean, we've been to the Feywild. That's like,
Yeah. Who tells
what?
us that we're not going to stumble 2 more blocks and end up in the celestial realm? I mean,
I mean,
honestly.
yeah. We went to the Feywild. We stopped the revolution. I mean, sheesh. If they don't let you back in with those accolades, when are they ever going to let you back in, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Eh, but yes, good talk. If at any point you feel like you want to talk about your experience, I'm I'm here for you.
Oh, I did have to tell you something. I only
Hmm.
told Lyra about this. I think Tempest might be some sort of creature or monster. She consumes an inordinate amount of alcohol, and that's coming from me.
Yes, and she's rather smaller than you, so that is truly creepy.
I also think maybe I should stop drinking. Don't tell the others, because I just can't. There's no way a pipsqueak like that should be out drinking me. So maybe I'm just fucking my body up so much, you know?
Yes, I
Uh,
think by this point the the years of partying, living living hard and dying young are catching up to you. I think that might be a wise decision. A wise decision. I mean, you can join me. I don't drink, and I have fun.
all right. How about I'll help you with this protectorate thing, and you help me with my
Sure. Anytime I see you with a drink in your hand, I'm just gonna slap it out of your hand.
Okay.
Do I have consent?
Uh, yes. But if I happen to be drinking my water skin, don't slap that out of my hand because that's
No,
water.
no.
Yeah.
Only alcoholic beverages. Yes.
I knew I could trust you, Amnio.
Yeah. I kind of do the weird, like, go for a handshake, but then go for a fist bump, but then go for a handshake, but then a fist bump.
I just give him a hug.
Oh, I hug him back.
Oh, very good. And on that, we're actually going to wrap things up for the night. Thank you all for joining us on this roller coaster of emotions and situations. Um, and we will see you all next week. Sure,
Bye.
obviously, to check us out on all the social media stuff in the channel description, on the link tree, all of that.
Yeah.